All right, folks, we're doing this. If we have no loop at this point, I think that we're going to call it. No loop. Excellent. I'm going to now start over so that we can get the show moving. Thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you for being patient. I'm sorry if you heard some of this before. I'm just going to read it just in case. I'm the founder and executive director of Pandemic Players, and we would like to thank you for joining us for our first public performance. We are using the word performance because despite the very different environment that our actors are in, the unusual manner that you are watching, we are still doing a performance. The world has gone through some massive changes, and we are forced to redefine live theater. We gave the actors, the director, and the technical director a difficult job to find a way to keep live theater going during this troubling time. We hit a little bit of a snag getting started, but I think that we're rolling now and we are ready to go. Everything that you see tonight is live. The danger that anything can go wrong at any time is, if anything, amplified. The actors are performing from what are probably the worst conditions that we could have asked them to perform from. We've never done this before, and as far as we know, no one has ever publicly presented a play on this scale, in this manner, completely quarantined from separate locations. Our mission is to present plays that are in the public domain, are relevant, beloved, and to do so in a manner that everyone involved, from the artist and the audience, can feel safe in attending during a pandemic. Each performance will be a reading, one night only, performed by actors who are quarantined away from each other in their own homes. The audience would be allowed to attend free of charge, and donations are accepted to aid the theaters in the greater Baltimore area that have suffered economic impact from closing. Pandemic Players is completely self funded. We supply our own equipment, we fund our own server space, and instead we ask that our audience, if they are able at this time, to donate to a local theater that needs help to still be there when normalcy returns to our world. Tonight we are raising money to help keep alive Baltimore's Audrey Herman Spotlighters Theater. While you are free to view tonight's performance, we ask that a donation be made if possible, recommending $20, which is the average cost of a ticket to a locally produced theater production. But we thank you for anything that you are willing to give. To make donations easy, you can find a donation link on our public Facebook page, Pandemic Players, or you can go directly to Spotlighters Theater at www.spotlighters.org and follow the instructions to donate that are on their page. We will add a web link in the comments of the YouTube stream to help you find out where to go. We thank you for anything that you can do. Tonight, everything will not be perfect. If it were, we would all be on stage and we wouldn't have to have taken extraordinary measures to make sure that on this Saturday evening, live theater would still be happening. In the midst of the turmoil, we mourn that theaters around the world have had to close their doors. It represents the loss of what we had only but a week ago. Instead of focusing on the inevitable imperfections of what we present tonight and the conditions under which we are forced to perform, I ask you to focus on what this represents. It represents that the light has not gone out. It represents that we as humans are laying in wait to build a future when the time is right. We have to be feisty scrappers right now if we are going to rebuild. And it is in that spirit that we present to you, the best that we can, a play of dedication and resilience, George Bernard Shaw's St. Joan. A fine spring morning in the River Meuse, between Lorraine and Champagne in the year 1429 AD, in the castle of Eckereux, Captain Robert de Baudelaire, a military squire, handsome and physically energetic, but with no will of his own, is disguising that defect in his usual fashion by storming terribly at a steward, a trodden worm, scanty of flesh, scanty of hair. The two are in a sunny stone chamber on the first floor of the castle. The mullioned 13th century window is open behind him. Near it in the corner is a
eggs? No eggs? 1,000 thunders, man. What do you mean by no eggs?
That is not my fault. It is an act of God.
Blasphemy. You tell me there are no eggs and you blame your maker for it?
What can I do? I cannot lay eggs.
You jest about it.
No, sir, God, no. You'll have to go without eggs just as you have, sir. The hens will not lay.
Indeed. Now listen to me, you.
Yes, sir.
What am I?
What are you, sir?
Yes, what am I? Am I Robert, Squire of Beautrecourt and Captain of this castle of Vaucouleurs? Or am I a cowboy?
Oh, sir, you know you are a greater man here than the king himself.
Precisely. And now, do you know what you are?
I am nobody, sir, except that I have the honor to be your steward.
You have not only the honor of being my steward, but the privilege of being the worst, most incompetent, driveling, sniveling, gibbering-jabbering idiot of a steward in France.
Yes, sir, to a great man like you, I must be like that.
My fault, I suppose, eh?
Oh, sir, you always give my most innocent words such a turn.
I will give your neck a turn if you dare tell me when I ask you how many eggs there are that you cannot lay any.
Sir.
Not oh sir, but no sir, no sir. My 3 Barbary hens in the black are the best layers in Champagne, and you come and tell me that there are no eggs? Who stole them? Tell me that before I kick you out through the castle gate for a liar and a seller of my goods to thieves. The milk was short yesterday too, do not forget that.
I know, sir, I know only too well. There is no milk, there are no eggs. Tomorrow there will be nothing.
Nothing? You will steal a lot, eh?
No, sir, nobody will steal anything. But there is a spell on us. We are bewitched.
That story is not good enough for me. Robert de Beautrecourt burns witches and hangs thieves. Go, bring me 4 dozen eggs and 2 gallons of milk here in this room before noon, or heaven have mercy on your bones. I will teach you to make a fool of me.
Sir, I tell you, there are no eggs. There will be none. Not if you were to kill me for it, as long as the maid is at the door.
The maid? What maid? What are you talking about?
The girl from France, sir, from Remy.
40,000 thunders! 50,000 devils! Do you mean to say that that girl who had the impudence to ask to see me 2 days ago and whom I told you to send back to her father with my orders that he was to give her a good hiding is here still?
I told her to go, sir. She won't.
I did not tell you to tell her to go. I told you to throw her out. You have 50 men-at-arms and a dozen lumps of able-bodied servants to carry out my orders. Are they afraid of her?
She is so positive, sir.
Positive? Now see here. I am going to throw you downstairs.
No, sir, please.
Well, stop me by being positive. It's quite easy. Any slut of a girl can do it.
Sir, you cannot get rid of her by throwing me out. You are much more positive than I am, but so is she.
I am stronger than you are, you fool.
No, sir, it isn't that. It's your strong character, sir. She is weaker than we are. She is only a slip of a girl, but we cannot make her go.
You parcel of curs. You're afraid of her.
No, sir, we are afraid of you.
perhaps. Where is she now?
Down in the courtyard, sir, talking to the soldiers as usual. She's always talking to the soldiers except when she's praying.
Praying? You believe she prays, you idiot. I know the sort of girl that is always talking to soldiers. She shall talk to me a bit. Hello, you there?
Is it me, sir?
Yes, you.
Be you captain?
Yes, damn your impudence, I be captain. Come up here. Show her the way, you, and shove her along quick.
She wants to go and be a soldier herself. She wants you to give the soldiers clothes, armor, sir, and a sword, actually.
Joan appears in the turret doorway. She is an able-bodied country girl of 17 or 18, respectably dressed in red, with an uncommon face, eyes very wide apart and bulging as they often do in very imaginative people, a long, well-shaped nose with wide nostrils, a short upper lip, resolute but full-lipped mouth, and handsome fighting chin. She comes eagerly to the table, delighted at having penetrated to Badgercore's presence at last, and full of hope as to the results. His scowl does not check or frighten her in the least. Her voice is normally a hearty, coaxing voice, very confident, very appealing, and hard to resist.
These are your orders from my lord.
Orders from your lord? And who the devil may your lord be? Go back to him and tell him that I am neither duke nor peer at his orders. I am squire of Baltimore, and I take no orders except from the king.
Yes, squire, that is all right. My lord is the king of heaven.
Why, the girl's mad. Why didn't you tell me so, you blockhead?
Sir, do not anger her. Give her what she wants.
They all say I am mad until they talk to them, squire. But you see that it is the will of God that you are to do what he has put into my mind.
It is the will of God that I shall send you back to your father with orders to put you under lock and key and thrash the madness out of you. What have you to say to that?
You think you will, squire, but you will find it all coming quite different. You said you would not see me, but here I am.
Yes, sir. You see, sir?
Hold your tongue, you.
Yes, sir.
Now listen to me. I am going to assert myself.
Please do, squire. The horse will cost 16 francs. It's a good deal of money, but I can save it on the armor. I can find a soldier's armor that will fit me well enough. I am very hardy, and I do not need beautiful armor made to my measure like you wear. I shall not want many soldiers. The Dauphin will give me all I need to raise the siege of Orleans.
To raise the siege of Orleans?
Yes, squire, that is what God is sending me to do. 3 men will be enough for you to send with me if they are good men and gentle to me. They have promised to come with me. Polly and Jack and the others.
Well, I am damned.
No, squire, God is very merciful, and the blessed saints Catherine and Margaret, who speak to me every day, will intercede for you. You will go to paradise, and your name will be remembered forever as my first helper.
Is this true about Monsieur de Boulanger?
Yes, sir. And about Monsieur de Metz, too. They both want to go with her.
Hello, you there. Send Monsieur de Boulanger to me, will you? Get out and wait in the yard.
Right, squire.
Go with her, you dithering imbecile. Stay within call and keep your eye on her. I shall have her up here again.
Do so in God's name, sir. Think of his hens, the best layers and champagne, and
Think of my boot and take your backside out of reach of it.
Enter Bertrand de Poligny, a lymphatic French gentleman-at-arms employed in the department of the provost marshal, dreamily absent-minded, seldom speaking unless spoken to, and then slow and obstinate in reply. Poligny salutes and stands awaiting orders.
It is in service, Polly. A friendly talk. Sit down. Now, listen to me, Polly. I must talk to you like a father. It's about this girl you're interested in. Now, I have seen her. I have talked to her. First, she's mad. That doesn't matter. Second, she's not a farm wench. She's a bourgeoise. That matters a good deal. I know her class exactly. Her father came here last year to represent his village in a lawsuit. He is one of their notables. A farmer, not a gentleman farmer. He makes money by it and lives by it. Still, not a laborer, not a mechanic. He might have a cousin, a lawyer, or in the church. People of this sort may be of no account socially, but they can give a lot of bother to the authorities, that is to say, to me. Now, no doubt it seems to you a very simple thing to take this girl away, humbugging her into the belief that you are taking her to the Dauphin. But if you get her into trouble, you may get me into no end of a mess, as I am her father's lord and responsible for her protection. So, friends and no friends, Polly, hands off her.
I should as soon think of the Blessed Virgin herself in that way as of this girl.
But she says you and Jack and Dick have offered to go with her. What for? You're not going to tell me that you take her crazy notion of going to the Dauphin seriously, are you?
There is something about her. They are pretty foul-mouthed and foul-minded down there in the guardroom, some of them. But there hasn't been a word that has anything to do with about her being a woman. They have stopped swearing before her. There is something. It may be worth trying.
Oh, come, Polly, pull yourself together. Common sense was never your strong point, but this is a little too much.
What is the good of common sense? If we had any common sense, we should join the Duke of Burgundy and the English king. The Dauphin is in Chinon like a rat in a corner, except that he won't fight. We don't even know that he is the Dauphin. His mother says he isn't, and she ought to know. Think of that. The Queen denying the legitimacy of her own son.
Well, she married her daughter to the English king. Can you blame the woman?
I blame nobody. But thanks to her, the Dauphin is out, down and out, and we may as well face it. The English will take Orléans. The bastard will not be able to stop them.
He beat the English the year before last at Montargis. I was with him.
And no matter. His men are cowed now, and he can't work miracles. And I tell you that nothing can save our side now but a miracle.
Miracles are all right, Polly. The only difficulty about them is they don't happen nowadays.
Well, I used to think so. I am not so sure now. Look, at all events, this is not a time to leave any stone unturned. There is something about the girl.
Oh, you think the girl can work miracles, do you?
I think the girl herself is a bit of a miracle. Anyhow, she is the last card left in our hand. Better play her than throw up the game.
You really think that?
Is there anything else left for us to think?
Look here, Polly. If you were in my place, would you let a girl like that do you out of 16 francs for a horse?
I will pay for the horse.
You will.
Yes, I will back my opinion.
You will really gamble on a forlorn hope to the tune of 16 francs?
It is not a gamble.
What else is it?
It is a certainty. Her words and her ardent faith in God have put fire into me.
You're just as mad as she is.
We want a few mad people now. See where the sane ones have landed us.
I shall feel like a precious fool. Still, if you feel sure...
I feel sure enough to take her to Chinon, unless you stop me.
This is not fair. You are putting the responsibility on me.
It is on you whichever way you decide.
Yes, that's just it. Which way am I to decide? You don't see how awkward this is for me. Do you think I ought to have another talk to her?
Yes. Joan,
Will he let us go, Polly?
come up, come in. Shall I leave you with her?
No, stay here and back me up.
Jack will go halves for the horse.
Well,
Sit down, Joan.
May I?
do what you are told. What is your name?
They always call me Jenny in Lorraine. Here in France, I am Joan. The soldiers call me the maid.
What is your surname?
Surname? What is that? My father sometimes calls himself d'Arc, but I know nothing about it. You met my father. He is...
Yes, I remember. You come from Domremy in Lorraine, I think.
Yes, but what does it matter? We all speak French.
Don't ask questions, answer them. How old are you?
17, so they tell me. It might be 19, I don't remember.
What did you mean when you said that St. Catherine and St. Margaret talk to you every day?
They do.
What are they like?
I will tell you nothing about it. They have not given me leave.
But you actually see them, and they talk to you just as I am talking to you?
No, it's quite different. I cannot tell you. You must not ask me about my voices.
How do you mean voices?
I hear voices telling me what to do. They come from God.
They come from your imagination.
Of course. That is how the messages of God come to us.
Checkmate.
No fear. So God says you are to raise the siege of Orleans.
And to crown the Dauphin at Reims Cathedral.
Crown the... Gosh!
And to make the English leave France.
Anything else?
Not just at present, thank you, Squire.
I suppose you think raising a siege is as easy as chasing a cow out of a meadow. You think soldiering is anybody's job?
I do not think it can be very difficult if God is on your side, and you are willing to put your life in his hand. But so many soldiers are very simple.
Simple. Did you ever see English soldiers fighting?
You mustn't be afraid, Robert.
Damn you, I am not afraid, and who gave you leave to call me Robert?
You were called so in church in the name of our Lord. All the other names are your father's or your brother's or anybody's. Listen to me, Squire. At Domrey, we had to fly to the next village to escape from the English soldiers. 3 of them were left behind, wounded. I came to know these 3 poor goddams quite well. They had not half my strength.
Do you know why they are called goddams?
No, everybody calls them goddams.
It is because they're always calling on their God to condemn their souls to perdition. That is what goddamn means in their language. How do you like it?
God will be merciful to them. And they will act like his good children when they go back to the country he has made for them and made them for. I have heard the tales of the Black Prince. The moment he touched the soil of our country, the devil entered into him and made him a black fiend. But at home, in the place made for him by God, he was good. And it always so. If I went into England against the will of God to conquer England and tried to live there and speak its language, the devil would enter into me. And when I was old, I should shudder to remember the wickedness I did.
Perhaps. But the more devil you were, the better you might fight. That is why the goddams will take Orleans. And you cannot stop them, nor 10,000 like you.
1,000 like me can stop them. 10,000 like me can stop them with God on our side. You do not understand, Squire. Our soldiers have always been beaten because they are fighting only to save their skins. And the shortest way to save your skin is to run away. Our knights are thinking only of the money that they will make in ransom. It is not kill or be killed with them, but pay or be paid. But I will teach them all to fight. That is the will of God may be done in France. And then they will drive the poor goddams before them like sheep. You and Polly will live to see the day when there will be not an English soldier on the soil of France, and there will be but one king there, not a feudal English king, but God's French one.
This all may be rot, Polly, but the troops might swallow it, though nothing that we can say seems to be able to put any fight into them. Even the Dauphin might swallow it, and if she can put fight into him, she can put it into anybody.
I can see no harm in trying, can you? And there is something about the girl.
Now listen you to me, and don't cut in before I have time to think.
Yes, Squire.
Your orders are that you are to go to the Chinon under the escort of this gentleman and 3 of his friends.
Oh, Squire, your head is circled all with light, like a saint's.
How is she to get into the royal presence?
I don't know. How did she get into my presence? If the Dauphin can keep her out, he's a better man than I take him for. I will send her to Chinon, and she can say I sent her. Then let come what may, I can do no more.
And the dress. I may have a soldier's dress, mayn't I, Squire?
Have what you please. I wash my hands of it.
Come, Polly.
Goodbye, old man. I'm taking a big chance. Few other men would have done it, but as you say, there is something about her.
Yes, there is something about her. Goodbye.
What now, steward? The hens are laying like mad, you say? 5 dozen eggs? Christ in heaven. She did come from God.
All right, everyone, hold. I'm setting up for scene 2. Nice job. Thank you, everyone, for hanging with it. We got there.
Good job to you too, Steve.
Yeah,
That was amazing,
work.
actually.
it was great.
All right, Archbishop, I need a page. Beard. We're here. I'll get that right, I promise. I guess I'm playing the Duchess, and we have Joan. I think I have everyone. Here we go. Good luck.
Break legs.
Thank you.
Break legs, guys.
Didn't work. We could see you.
Chinon, in Touraine. An end of the throne room in the castle, curtained off to make an antechamber. The Archbishop of Reims, a full-fed prelate with nothing of the ecclesiastic about him except his imposing bearing, and the Lord Chamberlain, Monsignor de la Tremille, a monstrous, arrogant wineskin of a man, are waiting for the Dauphin. There is a door in the wall on the right of the two men. It is late in the afternoon, on the 8th of March, 1429.
What the devil does the Dauphin mean by keeping us waiting like this? I don't know how you have the patience to stand there like a stone idol.
You see, I am an archbishop, and an archbishop is sort of an idol. At any rate, he has to learn to keep still and suffer fools patiently. Besides, my dear Lord Chamberlain, it is the Dauphin's royal privilege to keep you waiting, is it not?
Dauphin be damned, saving your reverence. Do you know how much money he owes me?
Well, much more than he owes me, I have no doubt, because you are a much richer man. But I take it he owes you all he could afford to lend him. That's what he owes me.
$27,000. That was his last haul. A cool $27,000.
Well, what becomes of it all? He never has a suit of clothes that I would throw to a curate.
He dines on a chicken or a scrap of mutton. He borrows my last penny, and there is nothing to show for it. At last.
No, my lord, it is not his majesty. Monsieur de Rey is approaching.
Young Bluebeard? Why announce him?
Captain Lahire is with him. Something has happened, I think.
Your faithful lamb, Archbishop. Good day, my lord. Do you know what has happened to Lahire?
He has sworn himself into a fit, perhaps.
Oh, just the opposite. Foul-mouthed Frank, the only man in Touraine who could beat him at swearing, was told by a soldier that he shouldn't use such language when he was at the point of death.
Nor did the other point. What was foul-mouthed Frank on the point of death?
Oh, yes. He has fallen into a well and been drowned. Lahire is frightened out of his wits. I've just been telling the Chamberlain and the Archbishop. The Archbishop says that you are a lost man.
It is nothing to joke about. It is worse than we thought. It was not a soldier, but an angel dressed as a soldier.
An
angel?
What are you talking about?
Yes, an angel. She has made her way from Champagne with half a dozen men through the thick of everything: Burgundians, Gothams, deserters, robbers, and Lord knows who. And they never met a soul except the country folk. I know one of them, de Polangy. He says she's an angel. If I ever utter an oath again, may my soul be blasted to eternal damnation.
A very pious beginning, Captain.
His Majesty.
The Dauphin, really King Charles VII since the death of his father, but as yet uncrowned, comes in through the curtains. He is a poor creature physically. He has little narrow eyes, near together, a long pendulous nose that droops over his thick, short upper lip, and the expression of a young dog accustomed to be kicked, yet incorrigible and irrepressible. But he is neither vulgar nor stupid, and he has a cheeky humor, which enables him to hold his own in conversation. Just at present, he is excited, like a child with a new toy.
Oh, Archbishop, do you know what Robert de Baudricourt has sent me from Vauquelin?
I am not interested in the newest toys.
It isn't a toy. However, I can get on well without your interest.
Your Highness is taking offense very unnecessarily.
Thank you. You're always ready with a lecture, aren't you?
Enough grumbling. What have you got there?
What is that to you?
It is my business to know what is passing between you and the garrison of Vauquelin.
You all think you can treat me as you please because I owe you money and because I'm no good at fighting. But I have blood royal in my veins.
Well, even that has been questioned, Your Highness. One hardly recognizes you as the grandson of Charles the Wise.
I want to hear no more of my grandfather. He was so wise I used up the whole family stock of wisdom for 5 generations and left me the poor fool I am, bullied and insulted by all of you.
Oh, control yourself, sir. These outbursts of petulance are not seemly.
Another lecture. Thank you. What a pity it is that, though you are an archbishop, saints and angels don't come to see you.
What do you mean?
Ha ha! Ask that bully there.
Hold your tongue. Do you hear?
Oh, I hear. You needn't shout. The whole castle can hear. Why don't you go and shout at the English and beat them for me?
You young...
Don't you raise your hand at me. It's high treason.
Steady, Duke, steady.
Come. This will not do. My Lord Chamberlain, please, we must keep some order. And you, sir, if you cannot rule your kingdom, at least try to rule yourself.
Another lecture. Thank you.
Here, read the accursed thing for me. He has sent the blood boiling into my head. I can't distinguish the letters.
I will read it for you if you like. I can read, you know.
Yes, reading is about all you are fit for. Can you make it out, Archbishop?
I should have expected more common sense from de Baudricourt. He is sending some crack country lass here to tell us what to do, and I...
No, he is sending a saint, an angel, and she is coming to me, the king, and not to you, Archbishop, holy as you are. She knows blood royal if you don't.
You cannot be allowed to see this crazy wench.
But I am the king, and I will.
Then she cannot be allowed to see you now.
I tell you I will. I'm going to put my foot down.
Naughty! What would your wise grandfather say?
That just shows your ignorance, Bluebeard. My grandfather had a saint who used to float in the air when she was praying and told him everything he wanted to know. My father had 2 saints, Marie de Muel and Gask of Avenon. It is in our family, and I don't care what you say, I will have my saint too.
The creature is not a saint. She is not even a respectable woman. She does not wear women's clothes. She's dressed as a soldier and rides around the country with soldiers. Do you suppose such a person can be admitted to your highness's court?
Stop. Did you say a girl in armor like a soldier?
Well, de Baudricourt describes her.
But by all the devils in hell! Oh, God, forgive me. What am I saying? By Our Lady and all the saints, this must be the angel that struck Foul-mouthed Frank dead for swearing.
You see, a miracle.
She may strike the lot of us dead if we cross her. For heaven's sake, Archbishop, be careful what you are doing.
Rubbish. Nobody has been struck dead. A drunken blackguard has been rebuked 100 times for swearing, has fallen into a well and been drowned. A mere coincidence.
I do not know what a coincidence is. I do know that the man is dead and that she told him that he was going to die.
We are all going to die, Captain.
I hope not.
We can easily find out whether she's an angel or not. Let us arrange that when she comes, that I shall be the Dauphin, and we'll see if she can find me out.
Yes, I agree to that. If she cannot find the blood royal, I'll have nothing to do with her.
It is for the church to make saints. Let de Baudricourt mind his own business and dare not usurp the function of his priest. I say the girl shall not be admitted.
But Archbishop...
I speak in the church's name. Do you dare say she shall?
Oh, if you make this next communication matter, I have nothing more to say, of course. But you haven't read the end of the letter. De Baudricourt says she will raise the siege of Orleans and beat the English force.
What?
Well, will you say Orleans with us? With all your bullying?
Do not throw that in my face again. Do you hear? I have done more fighting than you ever did or you ever will. But I cannot be everywhere.
You have Jacques Dunois at the head of your troops in Orleans. The brave Dunois, the handsome Dunois, the wonderfully invincible Dunois, the darling of all the ladies, the beautiful bastard. Is it likely that this country lass can do what he cannot do?
Well, why doesn't he raise the siege then?
The wind is against him.
Oh, how can the wind be hurting him at Orleans? It's not in the channel.
It is on the river Loire, and the English hold the bridgehead. He must ship his men across the river and upstream if he is to take them in the rear. Well, he cannot, because there is a devil of a wind blowing the other way. He's tired of paying the priest to pray for a west wind. What he needs is a miracle. You tell me that what the girl did to Foul-mouthed Frank was no miracle. No matter, it finished Frank. If she changes the wind for Dunois, that may not be a miracle either, but it may finish the English. What harm is there in trying?
The church must examine the girl before anything decisive is done about her. However, since His Highness desires it, let her attend the court.
I will find her and tell her.
Come with me, Bluebeard, and let us arrange that she will not know who I am. You will pretend to be me.
Pretend to be that thing. Holy Michael.
I wonder, will she pick him out?
They go out through the curtains, which are presently withdrawn, revealing the full depth of the throne room with the court assembled. Bluebeard is standing theatrically on the dais, playing the king, and like the courtiers, enjoying the joke rather obviously. A clear path across the room is kept and lined by the courtiers. Charles is in this path, in the middle of the room.
The Duke of Attention! The Duke of Vendôme presents Joan the maid to His Majesty.
Let her approach the throne.
Joan, dressed as a soldier with her hair bobbed and hanging thickly round her face, is led in by a bashful and speechless nobleman, from whom she detaches herself to stop and look around eagerly for the Dauphin. My dear, her hair!
Oh, ladies, shh, shh, shh.
I wear it like this because I am a soldier. Where be Dauphin?
You are in the presence of the Dauphin.
Come, Bluebeard. Thou canst not fool me. Where be Dauphin?
A roar of laughter breaks out as Gilles, with a gesture of surrender, joins in the laugh and jumps down from the dais beside La Tremée. Joan, also on the broad grin, turns back, searching along the row of courtiers, and presently makes a dive and drags out Charles by the arm.
Gentle little Dauphin, I am sent to you to drive the English away from Orleans and from France, and to crown you king at the Cathedral of Rome, where all true kings of France are crowned.
You see, all of you, she knew blood royal. Who dares say now that I'm not my father's son? But if you want me to be crowned at Rheims, you must talk to the Archbishop, not to me. There he is.
Oh, my lord, I am only a poor country girl, and you are filled with the blessedness and glory of God himself. But you will touch me with your hands and give me your blessing, won't you?
The old fox blushes.
Another miracle.
Child, you are in love with religion.
Am I? I never thought of that. Is there any harm in it?
There is no harm in it, my child, but there is danger.
There is always danger, except in heaven. Oh, my lord, you have given me such strength, such courage. It must be a most wonderful thing to be Archbishop.
Gentlemen, your levity is rebuked by this maid's faith. I am, God help me, all unworthy, but your mirth is a deadly sin.
Oh, my lord, will you send all these silly folks away so that I may speak to the Dauphin alone?
Come, gentlemen. The maid comes with God's blessing and must be obeyed.
The courtiers withdraw, some through the arch, others on the opposite side. As the Archbishop passes Joan, she falls on her knees and kisses the hem of his robe fervently. He shakes his head in instinctive remonstrance, gathers the robe from her, and goes out. She's left kneeling directly in the Duchess's way. Will you allow me to pass, please?
Beg pardon, ma'am, I am sure. Be that queen?
No, she thinks she is.
Oh.
I'll trouble your highness not to jibe at my wife.
Who be old Gruffingrum?
He is the Duc de la Tremouille.
What be his job?
He pretends to command the army, and whenever I find a friend that I can care for, he kills him.
Why dost let him?
How can I prevent him? He bullies me. They all bully me.
Art afraid?
Yes, I'm afraid. It's no use preaching to me about it. It's all very well for these big men with their armor that is too heavy for me, and their swords I can hardly lift, and their muscle, and their shouting, and their bad tempers. They like fighting. Most of them are making fools of themselves when they're not fighting. But I am quiet and sensible, and I don't want to kill people. I only want to be left alone to enjoy myself in my own way. I never asked to be a king. It was pushed upon me. So, if you're going to say, son of St. Louis, gird on the sword of your ancestors and lead us to victory, you can spare your breath to cool your porridge. For I cannot do it. I'm not built that way, and there is an end to it.
Blethers. We are all like that to begin with. I shall put courage into thee.
I don't want to have courage put into me. I want to sleep in a comfortable bed and not live in continual terror of being killed or wounded. put courage into the others, and let them have their belly full of fighting. But let me alone.
It's no use, Charlie. Thou must face what God puts on thee. If thou fail to make thyself king, thou'lt be a beggar. What else art fit for? Come! There is some good in thee, Charlie. It is not yet a king's good.
We shall see. I'm not such a fool as I look.
Thou must fight, Charlie, whether thou wilt or no. I will go first to hearten thee. We must take our courage with both hands, aye, and pray for it with both hands too.
Oh, do stop talking about God and praying. Can't bear people who are always praying. Isn't it bad enough to do it at the proper times?
Thou poor child, thou hast never prayed in thy life. I must teach thee from the beginning.
I am not a child. I'm a grown man, a father, and I will not be taught any more.
Aye, you have a little son. He that would be Louis XI when you die. Would you not fight for him?
No, a horrid boy. He hates me. He hates everybody. Selfish little beast. Don't want to be bothered with children. I don't want to be a father. I don't want to be a son, especially a son of St. Louis. I don't want to be any of these fine things that you have your heads full of. I just want to be what I am. Why can't you mind your own business and let me mind mine?
Minding your own business is like minding your own body. It's the shortest way to make yourself sick. What is my business? I tell thee, it is God's business we are here to do, not our own. I have a message to thee from God, and thou must listen to it, though thy heart breaks with the terror of it.
I don't want a message. But, can you tell me any secrets? Can you do any curses? Can you turn lead into gold or anything of that sort?
I can turn thee into a king in Rheims Cathedral, and that is a miracle that will take some doing, it seems.
If we go to Reims and have a coronation, on want new dresses, we can't afford them. I'm all right as I am.
As you are, and what is that? Less than my father's poorest shepherd. Thou art not lawful owner of thy own land in France till thou be consecrated.
But I shall not be lawful owner of any of my lands anyhow. Will the consecration pay off my mortgages? I have pledged my last acre to the Archbishop, and that bully. I owe money even to Bluebeard.
Charlie, I come from the land, and have gotten my strength working on the land, and I tell thee that the land is thine to rule righteously and keep God's peace in, and not to pledge at the pawn shop as a drunken woman pledges her children's clothing. And as I come from God to tell thee to kneel in the cathedral and solemnly give thy kingdom to him forever and ever, and become the greatest king in the world as his steward and his bailiff, his soldier and his servant. The very clay of France will become holy. Her soldiers will be the soldiers of God. The rebel dukes will be rebels against God. The English will fall upon their knees and beg thee, let them return to their lawful homes in peace. Wilt be a poor little Judas and betray me and him that sent me?
If only I dare.
I shall dare and dare and dare again in God's name. Art thou for or against me?
I'll risk it. I warn you, I shan't be able to keep it up, but I'll risk it. You shall see. Hello! Come back, everybody. Mind you, stand by and don't let me get bullied. Come along, will you? All court. No, I'm in for it. No matter. Here goes. Call for silence, little beast, will you?
Silence for His Majesty the King! The King speaks! Will you be silent there?
I have given the command of the army to the maid. The maid is to do as she likes with it.
What is this? I command the army.
Thou art answered, old Graffingram. Who is for God and his maid? Who is for Orleans with me?
For God and his maid, to Orleans!
Almost there. 1 second.
Sure, I'm ready. I'm sure that Kate needs a chance to breathe.
Where are you? Hold on, I'm going to have to add this back in. Hold on. Sorry, not what I wanted to do right now, but...
Okay. Do what you need to do. I'm getting good feedback from the YouTube crowd, so this is fun.
Okay, there we go. And that's the page, so I need John. And
Orléans, 29 April 1429. Dunois pacing up and down a patch of ground on the south bank of the Silver Loire. Commanding a long view of the river in both directions, he is very well built, carrying his armor easily. His broad brow and pointed chin give him an equilaterally triangular face, already marked by active service and responsibility. His page is sitting on the ground, elbows on knees, cheeks on fists, idly watching the water. It is evening, and both man and boy are affected by the loveliness of the Loire.
West wind, west wind, west wind. Strumpet, steadfast when you should be wanton, wanton when you should be steadfast. West wind on the Silver Loire. What rhymes with war? Change, curse you, change! English harlot of a wind, change! West! West, I tell you! West wind, wanton wind, willful wind, womanish wind, false wind from over the water, will you never blow again?
See, there she goes.
Where? Who, the maid?
No, the Kingsfisher, like blue lightning. She went into that bush.
Is that all, you infernal young idiot? I have mind to pitch you in the river.
It looked rightfully jolly, that flash of blue. Look, there goes the other.
Where? Where?
Passing the reeds.
I see.
You blew me up because you were not in time to see them yesterday.
You knew I was expecting the maid when you set up your yelping. I will give you something to yelp for next time.
Aren't they lovely? I wish I could catch them.
Let me catch you trying to trap them, and I will put you in the iron cage for a month to teach you what a cage feels like. You are an abominable boy. Bluebird, bluebird, since I am friend to thee, change thou the wind for me. No, it does not rhyme. He who has sinned for thee. That's better. No sense in it, though. You abominable boy. Marry in the blue snood kingfisher color. Will you grudge me a west wind?
Halt! Who goes there?
The maid.
Let her pass. Hither, maid, come to me.
Joan, in splendid armor, rushes in a blazing rage. The wind drops and the pennon flaps idly down the lance, but Dunois is too much occupied with Joan to notice it.
Be you bastard of Orleans?
You see the bend, sinister. Are you Joan the maid?
Sure.
Where are your troops?
Miles behind. They have cheated me. They have brought me to the wrong side of the river.
I told them to.
Why did you? The English are on the other side.
The English are on both sides.
But Orleans is on the other side. We must fight the English there. How can we cross the river?
There is a bridge.
In God's name, then, let us cross the bridge and fall on them.
It seems so simple, but it cannot be done.
Who says so?
I say so. And older and wiser heads than mine are of the same opinion.
Then your older and wiser heads are fat heads. They have made a fool of you, and now they want to make a fool of me too, bringing me to the wrong side of the river. Do you not know that I bring you better help than ever came to any general or any town?
Your own?
No, the help and counsel of the King of Heaven. Which is the way to the bridge?
You are impatient, maid.
Is this a time for patience? Our enemy is at our gates, and here we stand doing nothing. Oh, why are you not fighting? Listen to me. I will deliver you from fear. I will.
No, no, my girl. If you delivered me from fear, I should be a good knight for a storybook, but a very bad commander of the army. Come, let me begin to make a soldier of you. Do you see those 2 forts at this end of the bridge? The big ones?
Yes. Are they ours? Or the goddamns?
Be quiet and listen to me. If I were in either of those forts with only 10 men, I could hold it against an army. The English have more than 10 times Ted Goddams in those forts to hold them against us.
They cannot hold them against God. God did not give them the land under those forts. They stole it from him. He gave it to us. I will take those forts.
Single-handed?
Our men will take them. I will lead them.
Not a man will follow you.
I will not look back to see whether anyone is following me.
Good. You have the makings of a soldier in you. You are in love with war.
Oh. And the Archbishop said I was in love with religion.
I, God forgive me, am a little in love with war myself, the ugly devil. I am like a man with 2 wives. Do you want to be a woman with 2 husbands?
I will never take a husband. A man in Toul took an action against me for breach of promise, but I never promised him. I am a soldier. I do not want to be thought of as a woman. I will not dress as a woman. I do not care for the things women care for. They dream of lovers and of money. I dream of leading a charge and of placing the big guns. You soldiers do not know how to use the big guns. You think you can win battles with the great noise and smoke.
True. Half the time the artillery is more trouble than it's worth.
Aye, lad. But you cannot fight stone walls with horses. You must have guns, and much bigger guns, too.
Aye, lass. But a good heart and a stout ladder will give over the stoniest wall.
I will be the first up the ladder when we reach the fort, bastard. I dare you to follow me.
You must not dare a staff officer, Joan. Only company officers are allowed to indulge in displays of personal courage. Besides, you must know that I welcome you as a saint, not as a soldier. I have daredevils enough at my call if they could help me. The rafts are ready, and the men are embarked, but they must wait for God.
What do you mean? God is waiting for them.
Let him send us a wind, then. My boats are downstream. They cannot come up against both wind and current. We must wait until God changes the wind. Come, let me take you to the church.
No. I love church, but the English will not yield to prayers. They understand nothing but hard knocks and slashes. I will not go to church until we have beaten them.
You must. I have business for you there.
What business?
To pray for a west wind. I have prayed, and I have given 2 silver candlesticks, but my prayers are not answered. Yours, maybe. You are young and innocent.
Oh, yes. You are right. I will pray. I will tell St. Catherine. She will make God give me a west wind. Quick, show me the way to the church.
Hetcha!
God bless you, child. Come, bastard.
They go out. The page rises to follow. He picks up the shield and is taking the spear as well when he notices the pennon, which is now streaming eastward.
Senor, mademoiselle!
What is it? The kingfisher?
Oh, a kingfisher. Where?
No, the wind! That's what made me sneeze.
The wind has changed. God has spoken. You command the king's army. I am your soldier.
The boats are put off. They're ripping upstream like anything.
Now for the forts. You dared me to follow. Dare you lead?
Dunois, dear comrade at arms, help me. My eyes are blinded with tears. Set my foot on the ladder and say, up, Joan!
Never mind the tears. Make for the flash of guns.
Ah!
For God and St. Denis!
The maid, God and the maid! Hooray, yay, yay!
Hi, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us through intermission, and thank you so much for putting up with the early tech issues that we had. I've noticed that everyone in the YouTube comments page has figured out how to do applause emojis. I'd love for you to take a minute and give a round of applause to our wonderful tech director, Stuart Kasnow, a really, really dear friend of mine. He has basically built a TV studio for us over the course of the week. And for everything that looped, there were 1,000 other things that could have gone completely wrong that Stuart took care for us. So if you could, please do give him a round of applause. We'd also like to take another opportunity to remind you, if you could, to please go to spotlighters.org. And actually, because of the wonderful technology, I can send that to you, spotlighters.org, where you can make a donation to help them out. We really, as we were talking about on Wednesday with our friends from Spotlighters, we don't want to end up in a situation where we have a Baltimore where there's no Spotlighters. This is an unprecedented situation, and we want to make sure that we're able to help them out and be there for them. And each week we're going to be taking a look at the theaters in our community and try and find those who could use our help. I had a meeting earlier this week with the Maryland Arts Council. They're working on getting funding for 501c3 arts organizations, exactly like Spotlighters and the other ones in our area. But that will be until May, until the Maryland government can take session again. So in the meantime, if you keep an eye on our feed at Facebook, we're Pandemic Players. Next week, we will be presenting The Importance of Being Earnest, which will be far easier than the play that I chose to go first, which has about 24 different actors in it. It will be far easier to perform The Importance of Being Earnest. And with the lessons learned from tonight, I think it will be really something that you do not want to miss. Thank you very much for being here. We're going to do Act 2 now. A tent in the English camp. A bull-necked English chaplain is sitting on a stool at a table, hard at work writing. At the other side of the table, an imposing nobleman is seated in a handsome chair, turning over the leaves of an illuminated book of hours. The nobleman is enjoying himself. The chaplain is struggling with suppressed wrath.
Now, this is what I call workmanship. There is nothing on earth more exquisite than a bonny book with well-placed columns of rich black writing and beautiful borders, and illuminated pictures cunningly inset. But nowadays, instead of looking at books, people read them. A book might as well be one of those orders for bacon and bran that you are scribbling.
I must say, my lord, you take our situation very coolly indeed.
What is the matter?
The matter, my lord, is that we English have been defeated.
That happens, you know. It's only in history books and ballads that the enemy is defeated.
But we are defeated over and over again. First, Orleans.
Oh, Orleans.
But the matter is that we English have been defeated, but we are defeated over and over again. And I know that what you are going to say, my lord, is that was a clear case of witchcraft and sorcery, but we are still being defeated. I feel, my lord, I feel very deeply. I cannot bear to see my countrymen defeated by a parcel of foreigners. He is only a Frenchman, my lord.
We seem to have lost connection with the nobleman, so I, the narrator, shall read his lines, while hopefully his face can be seen, for it is prettier than my own. We shall burn the witch and beat the bastard all in good time. Indeed, I am waiting at present for the Bishop of Beauvais to arrange the burning with him. He has been turned out of his diocese by her faction.
You have first to catch her, my lord.
Or buy her. I will offer a king's ransom.
A king's ransom for that slut.
One has to leave a margin. Some of Charles's people will sell her to the Burgundians. The Burgundians will sell her to us, and there will probably be 3 or 4 middlemen who will expect their little commission.
The Right Reverend, the Bishop of Beauvais.
My dear Bishop,
Monsignor.
how good of you to come. Allow me to introduce myself. Richard de Beauchamp, Earl of Warwick, at your service.
Your lordship's fame is well known to me.
This reverend cleric is Master John de Stogomber.
John Bower Spencer Neville, de Stogomber, at your service, my lord. Bachelor of Theology and keeper of the private seal to His Eminence the Cardinal of Winchester.
You call him the Cardinal of England, I believe, our king's uncle?
Monsieur John de Stogomber, I am always the very good friend of His Eminence.
Do me the honor to be seated. Well, my Lord Bishop, you find us in one of our unlucky moments. Charles is to be crowned at Rheims, practically by the young woman from Lorraine, and I must not deceive you nor flatter your hopes. We cannot prevent it. I suppose it will make a great difference to Charles' position.
Oh, undoubtedly. It is a masterstroke of the maids.
We were not fairly beaten, my lord. No Englishman is ever fairly beaten.
Our friend here takes the view that the young woman is a sorceress. It would, I presume, be the duty of your reverend lordship to denounce her to the Inquisition and have her burnt for that offense.
Oh, if she were captured in my diocese, yes.
Just so. Now, I suppose there can be no reasonable doubt that she is a sorceress.
Not the least an errant witch. My lord, at Orleans, this woman had her throat pierced by an English arrow and was seen to cry like a child from the pain of it. It was a death wound, yet she fought all day. And when her men had repulsed her attacks like true Englishmen, she walked alone on the wall of our fort with a white banner in her hand, and our men were paralyzed and could neither shoot nor strike, whilst the Frenchmen fell on them and drove them out to the bridge, where immediately burst into flames, crumbled under them, and letting them down into the river, where they all were drowned in heaps. What was this, the bastard's generalship, or were these the flames of hell conjured up by witchcraft?
You will forgive Messieurs John's vehemence, my lord, but he has put our case. Dunois is a great captain, we admit, but why could he do nothing until the witch came?
I do not say there were no supernatural powers on her side, but the names on the white banner were not the names of Satan and Beelzebub, but the blessed names of our Lord and His Holy Mother, and your commander who was drowned, Clasda, I think you call him.
Glasdale, Sir William Glasdale.
Glasdale, thank you. He was no saint, and many of our people think he was drowned for his blasphemies against the maid.
Well, what are we to infer from all this, my lord? Has the maid converted you?
If she had, my lord, I should have known better than to have trusted myself here within your grasp. If the devil wanted to damn a country girl, do you think so easy a task would cost him the winning of a dozen battles? No, my lord. Any trumpery imp could do that much if the girl could be damned at all. The Prince of Darkness does not condescend to such cheap drudgery. When he strikes at the Catholic Church, whose realm is the whole spiritual world. When he damns the soul of the entire human race. Against that dreadful design, the Church stands ever on guard. And it is as one of the instruments of that design that I see this girl. She is inspired, but she is diabolically inspired.
I told you she was a witch.
Oh no, she's not a witch. She
What
is a
difference
heretic.
does that make?
You, a priest, asked me that. You English are strangely blunt in the mind. All these things that you call witchcraft are capable of natural explanation. The woman's miracles would not impose on a rabbit. She does not claim them as miracles herself. What do her victories prove but that she had a better head on her shoulders than your swearing Glasdales and mad bull Talbots, and that the courage of faith, even though it be a false faith, will always outstay the courage of wrath.
My lord, I wipe the slate as far as the witchcraft goes. Nonetheless, we must burn the woman.
I cannot burn her. The church cannot take a life.
and my first duty is to seek this girl's salvation.
No doubt, but you do burn people occasionally.
No. When the church cuts off an obstinate heretic as a dead branch from the tree of life, the heretic is handed over to the secular arm. The church has no part in what the secular arm may see fit to do.
Precisely, and I shall be the secular arm in this case. Well, my lord, hand over your dead branch, and I will see that the fire is ready for it. If you will answer for the church's part, I will answer for the secular part.
I can answer for nothing. Your great lords are too prone to treat the church as a mere political convenience.
I must apologize on my own account if I seem to take the burning of this poor girl too lightly. When one has seen whole countrysides burnt over and over again as mere items in military routine, one has to grow a very thick skin. Otherwise, one might go mad. At all events, I should. May I venture to assume that your lordship, also having to see many heretics burned from time to time, is compelled to take, shall I say, a professional view of what otherwise would be a very horrible incident?
Yes, it is a painful duty, even as you say, a horrible one. But in comparison with the horror of heresy, it is less than nothing. I'm not thinking of this girl's body, which will suffer but for a few moments only, and which must in any event die in some more or less painful manner, but of her soul, which might suffer to all eternity.
Just so, and God grant that her soul might be saved. But the practical problem would seem to be how to save her soul without saving her body. For we must face it, my lord, if this cult of the maid goes on, our cause is lost.
May I speak, my lord?
Really, Messire John, I'd rather you did not, unless you can keep your temper.
It is only this. I speak under correction, but the maid is full of deceit. She pretends to be devout. Her prayers and confessions are endless. How can she be accused of heresy when she neglects no observance of the faith daughter of the church?
A faithful daughter of the church. The Pope himself at his proudest dare not presume as this woman presumes. She acts as if she herself were the church. She brings the message of God to Charles, and the church must stand aside. She will crown him in the Cathedral of Rheims. She, not the church. She sends letters to the King of England, giving him God's commands through her to return to his island on pain of God's vengeance, which she will execute. Let me tell you that the writing of such letters was the practice of the accursed Mohammed, the Antichrist. Has she, in all her utterances, said one word of the church? Never. It is also always God and herself.
What can you expect, though? A beggar on horseback, her head is turned.
Who has turned it? The devil. And for a mighty purpose. He is spreading this heresy everywhere. That man, Hus, burnt only 13 years ago at Constance, infected all of Bohemia with it. A man called Wycliffe, himself an anointed priest, spread the pestilence in England, and to your shame, you let him die in his bed. We have such people here in France, too. I know the breed. It is cancerous. If it be not cut out, stamped out, burned out, it will not stop until it has brought the whole body of human society into sin and corruption, into waste and ruin. By it, an Arab camel driver drove Christ and his church out of Jerusalem and ravaged his way west like a wild beast, until at last there stood only the Pyrenees and God's mercy between France and damnation. Yet what did the camel driver do at the beginning more than this shepherd girl is doing? He had voices from the angel Gabriel. She has voices from St. Catherine and St. Margaret and the blessed Michael. He declared himself the messenger of God and wrote in God's name to the kings of the earth. Her letters to him are going forth daily. It is now the mother of God. It is not now the mother of God to whom we must look for intercession, but to Joan the maid. What will the world be like when the church has accumulated wisdom? Its pious, venerable, pious men are thrust into the kennel by every ignorant laborer or dairymaid who the devil can puff up with the monstrous self-conceit of being directly inspired from heaven. It will be a world of blood, of devastation, of each man striving for his own hand, in the end a world racked back into barbarism. For now you have only Mahomet and his dupes, and the maid and her dupes. But what will it be when every girl thinks herself a Joan, and every man a Mahomet? I shudder to the very marrow of my bones when I think of it. I have fought for it all my life, and I will fight it till the end. Let all these women's sins be forgiven her, except for only this sin, for it is the sin against the Holy Ghost. And if she does not recant in the dust before the world and submit herself to the last inch of her soul to her church, to the fire she will go if she falls in my hand.
You feel strongly about it, naturally.
Do you not?
This woman denies to England her legitimate conquests given her by God because of her peculiar finesse to rule over less civilized races for their own good. You are too learned and subtle for a poor clerk like myself. But I know as a matter of plain common sense that the woman is a rebel, and that is enough for me. She rebels against nature by wearing man's clothes and fighting. She rebels against the church by us uprising the divine authority of the Pope. She rebels against God by her damnable league with Satan and his evil spirits against our army. And all these rebellions are only excuses for her great rebellion against England. That is not to be endured. Let her perish, let her burn, let her not infect the whole flock. It is expedient that one woman die for these people.
My lord, we seem to be agreed.
I will not imperil my soul. I will uphold the justice of the church, but I will strive for the utmost for this girl's salvation.
I am sorry for the poor girl. I hate these severities. I will spare her if I can.
I would burn her with my own hands.
Sancta Simplicitas.
The ambulatory in the Cathedral of Rheims, near the door of the vestry. A pillar bears one of the stations of the cross. The organ is playing the people out of the nave after the coronation. Joan is kneeling in prayer before the station. She is beautifully dressed, but still in male attire. The organ ceases is Dunois, also splendidly arrayed, comes into the ambulatory from the vestry.
Come, Joan. You've had enough praying. After that fit of crying, you will catch a chill if you stay here any longer. It is all over. The cathedral is empty and the streets are full. They are calling for the maid. We have told them you are staying here alone to pray, but they want to see you again.
No. Let the king have all the glory.
He only spoils the show, poor devil. No, Joan. You have crowned him, and you must go through with it. Come. Come! It will be over in a couple hours. It's better than the bridge to Orleans, eh?
Oh, dear Dunois. How I wish it were the bridge at Orleans again. We lived at that bridge.
Yes, faith. And died too, some of us.
Isn't it strange, Jack? I am such a coward. I am frightened beyond words before a battle, but just so dull afterwards when there is no danger. Oh, so dull. Dull. Dull.
You must learn to be abstemious in war, just as you are in your food and drink, my little saint.
Dear Jack, I think you like me as a soldier likes his comrade.
You need it, poor innocent child of God. You have not many friends at court.
Why do all these courtiers and knights and churchmen hate me? What have I done to them? I've asked nothing for myself except that my village shall not be taxed, for we cannot afford war taxes. I have brought them luck and victory. I have set them right when they were doing all sorts of stupid things. I have crowned Charles and made him a real king, and all the honors he is handing out have gone to them. And why do they not love me?
Simpleton. Do you expect stupid people to love you for shoeing them up? Do blundering old military dugouts love the successful young captains who supersede them? Do ambitious politicians love the climbers who take the front seats for them? Do archbishops enjoy being played off their own altars, even by saints? Why, I should be jealous of you myself if I were ambitious enough.
You are the pick of the basket here, Jack. The only friend I have among all these nobles. I'll wager your mother was from the country. I will go back to the farm when I've taken Paris.
I am not so sure they will let you take Paris.
What?
I should have taken it myself before this, if they had been all sound about it. Some of them would rather Paris took you, I think. So take care.
Jack, the world is too wicked for me. If the Goddams and the Burgundies do not make the end of me, the French will. Only for my voices I should lose all heart. That is why I had to steal away to pray here alone after the coronation. I'll tell you something, Jack. It is in the bells that I hear my voices. Not today, when they all rang. That was nothing but jangling. But here, in this corner, where the bells come down from heaven and the echoes linger, or in the fields, where they come from a distance to the quiet of the countryside, my voices are in them. Hark! Do you hear? Dear child of God, just what you said. At the half hour they will say, be brave, go on. At 3/4, they will say, I am thy help. But it is at the hour when the great bell goes after God will save France. It is then that Saint Margaret and Saint Catherine and sometimes even the Blessed Michael will say things that I cannot tell beforehand. Then, oh, then...
Then, Joan, we shall hear whatever we fancy in the booming of the bell. You make me uneasy when you talk about your voices. I should think you were a bit cracked if I hadn't noticed that you give me very sensible reasons for what you do. Though I hear you telling others that you are only obeying Madame St. Catherine.
Well, I have to find reasons for you, because you would not believe in my voices. But the voices come first, and I find the reasons after, whatever you may choose to believe.
Well, is anoint last. How do you like it?
I would not go through it again to be emperor of the sun and the moon. The weight of those robes, I thought I should have dropped when I loaded the crown onto me. And the famous holy oil they talked so much about was rancid. Whew. The archbishop must be nearly dead. His robes must weigh a ton. We're stripping them still in the vestry.
Her Majesty should wear armor oftener. That would accustom you to heavy dressing.
Yes, old jibe. Well, I am not going to wear armor. Fighting is not my job. Where's the maid?
Sire, I have made you king. My work is done. I am going back to my father's farm.
Oh, are you? Oh, that would be very nice. Healthy life, you know?
But a dull one.
You will find the petticoats tripping you up after leaving them off for so long.
You will miss the fighting. It's a bad habit, but a grand one, and the hardest of all to break yourself of.
Still, we wouldn't want you to stay if you'd rather go home.
I know well that none of you will be sorry to see me go.
Well, I shall be able to swear when I want to, but I shall miss you at times.
Machiere, in spite of all your sins and swears, we shall meet in heaven. For I love you as I love Petu, my old sheepdog. Petu could kill a wolf. You will kill the English wolves until they go back to their country and become good dogs of gold, will you not?
You and I together, yes.
No, I shall only last a year from the beginning.
What?
What?
What are you talking about?
I know it somehow.
Nonsense!
Jack, do you think you will be able to drive them out?
Yes, I shall drive them out. They beat us tonight because we thought battles were tournaments and ransom markets. We played the fool while the Gothams took war seriously, but I have learnt my lesson and taken their measure. They have no brutes here. I have beaten them before, and I shall beat them again.
You will not be cruel to them, Jack?
The Gothams will not yield to tender handling. We did not begin it.
Jack, before I go home, let us take Paris.
No. We shall lose everything we have gained. Oh, don't let us have any more fighting. We should make a very good treaty with the Duke of Burgundy.
A treaty?
Well, why not? Now I've been crowned and anointed. That oil. Ugh.
The Archbishop comes from the vestry and joins the group between Charles and Bluebeard.
Archbishop, the maid wants to start fighting again.
Have we ceased fighting then? Are we at peace?
No, I suppose not. But let us be content with what we have done. Let us make our treaty. Our luck is too good to last, and now is our chance to stop before it turns.
Luck? God has fought for us, and you call it luck. And you would stop while there is still Englishmen in the holy earth of dear France.
Maid, the king has addressed himself to me, not to you. You forget yourself. You very often forget yourself.
Then speak you, and tell him that it is not God's will that he should take his hand from the plough.
If I am not so glib with the name of God as you are, it is because I interpret his will with the authority of my church and my sacred office. When you first came, you respected it and would not have dared to speak to me as you are now speaking. You came clothed with the virtue of humility, and because God blessed your enterprises accordingly, you have chained yourself with the sin of pride. The old Greek tragedy is rising among us. It is the chastisement of hubris.
Yes, and she thinks she knows better than everyone else.
But I do know better than any of you seem to. And I am not proud. I never speak unless I know I am right.
And how do you know you are right?
I always know. My voices.
Oh, your voices! Your voices. Why don't your voices come to me? I am king, not you.
They do come to you, but you do not hear them. You have not sat in the field in the evening listening for them. When the Angelus rings, you cross yourself and have done with it. But if you prayed from your heart and listened to the trilling of the bells in the air after they stop ringing, you would hear the voices as well as I do. But what voices do you need to tell you what the blacksmith can tell you? That you must strike when the iron is hot. I tell you, we must make a dash at Compiègne and relieve it as we have relieved Orléans. Then Paris will open its gates, and if not, we will break through them. What is your crown worth without your capital?
I know what you think of us, General Joan.
Never mind that, Jack. Tell them what you think of me.
I think that God was on your side. For I have not forgotten how the wind changed and how our hearts changed when you came. And by my faith, I shall never deny that it was in your sign that we conquered. But I tell you, as a soldier, that God is no man's daily drudge, and no maid's either. If you are worthy of it, he will sometimes snatch you out of the jaws of death and set you on your feet again. But that is all. Once on your feet, you must fight with all your might and all your craft. For he has to be fair to your enemy too, don't forget that. Well, he set us on our feet through you at Orléans, and the glory of it has carried us through a good few battles here to the coronation. But if we presume on it further and trust God to do the work we should do ourselves, we shall be defeated. And serve us right.
But
I have not finished. Do not think, any of you, that these victories of ours were won without generalship. King Charles, you have said no word in your proclamations of my part in this campaign, and I make no complaint of that, for the people will run after the maid and her miracles, and not after the bastard's hard work finding troops for her and feeding them. But I know exactly how much God did for us through the maid, and how much he left me to do by my own wits, and I tell you that your little hour of miracles is over, and that from this time on, who plays the war game best will win, if luck is on his side.
Oh, if ifs and ands were pots and pans, there would be no need for tinkers. What have you, bastard? Your art of war is no use, because your knights are no good for real fighting. War is only a game to them, like tennis and all their other games. They make rules as to what is fair and what is not fair, and heap armor on themselves and their poor horses to keep out the arrows. When they fall, they can't get up, and have to wait for their squires to come and lift them up to arrange about the ransom with the man who has pooped them off their horse. Can't you see that all the like of that is gone by and done with? What use is armor against gunpowder? If it was, do you think men that are fighting for France and for God will stop to bargain about ransoms as half your knights live by doing? No! They will win. They will fight to win. And they will give up their lives out of their own hand into the hand of God when they go into battle, as I do. Common folks understand this. They cannot afford armor and cannot pay ransoms. They followed me half naked into the mountain, up the ladder and over the wall. With them, it is my life or thine, and God defended the right. You may shake your head, Jack, and Bluebeard may twirl his billy goat's beard and cock his nose at me. But remember the day your knights and captains refused to follow me to attack the English at Orléans. You locked the gates to keep me in, and it was the townfolk and the common people that followed me and forced the gate and showed you the way to fight in earnest. I don't blame you, Jack. You are right. I am not worth one soldier's life if God lets me be beaten. But France may think me worth my ransom after what God has done for her through me.
I tell you, I have no money. And this coronation is all your fault. It's cost me the last farthing I can borrow.
The church is richer than you. I put my trust in the church.
Woman, they will drag you through the streets and burn you as a witch.
Oh, my lord, do not say that. It is impossible. I, a witch.
Peter Cochon knows his business. The University of Paris has burnt a woman for saying that what you have done was well done, and according to God.
Why? What sense is there in it? What have I done is according to God? They could not burn a woman for speaking the truth.
They did?
But you know that she was speaking the truth. You would not let them burn me.
And how could I prevent them?
You would speak in the name of the church. You are a great prince of the church. I would go anywhere with your blessing to protect me.
I have no blessing for you while you are proud and disobedient.
Oh, why would you go on saying things like that? I am not proud and disobedient. I'm a poor girl, and so ignorant that I do not know A from B. How could I be proud? And how can you say that I am disobedient when I always obey my voices because they come from God?
The voice of God on earth is the voice of the church militant. And all of the voices that come to you are the echoes of your own willfulness.
That is not true.
It is not. You tell the Archbishop in his cathedral that he lies, and then you say you are not proud and disobedient?
I never said you lied. It was you, as good as said my voices lied. When have they ever lied? If you will not believe in them, even if they are only the echoes of my own common sense, then are they not always right? And are not your earthly counsels always wrong?
Oh, it is a waste of time admonishing you.
It always comes back to the same thing. She is right, everyone else is wrong.
Take this as your last warning. If you perish through setting your private judgment above the instructions of your spiritual directors, the church disowns you and leaves you to whatever fate your presumption may bring upon you. The bastard has told you that if you persist in setting up your military conceit above the counsels of your commanders, that...
To put it quite exactly, if you attempt to relieve the garrison in Compiègne without the same superiority in numbers that you had at Orléans,
the army will disown you and will not rescue you. And His Majesty the King has told you that the throne has not the means of ransoming you.
Not a penny.
You stand alone, absolutely alone, trusting to your own conceit, your own ignorance, your own headstrong presumption, your own impiety, and hiding all those sins under the cloak of the trust in God. When you pass through these doors into the sunlight, the crowd will cheer you. They will bring their little children and their invalids to heal. They will kiss your hands and feet and do what they can, poor simple souls, to turn your head and madden you with the self-confidence that is leading to your destruction. But it'll be none the less alone if they cannot save you. We and only we can stand between you and the stake, which our enemies have burnt that wretched woman in Paris.
I have better friends and better counsel than yours.
I see I am speaking in vain to a hardened heart. You reject our protection and are determined to turn us all against you. In the future, then, fend for yourself. And if you fail, God have mercy on your soul.
that is the truth, Joan. Heed it.
Where would you all have been now if I had heeded that sort of truth? There is no help, no counsel in any of you. Yes, I am alone on earth. I have always been alone. My father told my brothers to drown me if I would not stay to mind his sheep while France was bleeding to death. France might perish if only our lambs were safe. I thought France would have friends at the court of the King of France. I only find wolves fighting for pieces of her poor torn body. I thought God would have friends everywhere, because He is the friend of everyone. In my innocence, I believed that you who now cast me out would be like strong towers to keep harm from me. But I am wiser now, and nobody is any worse for being wiser. Do not think you can frighten me by telling me that I am alone. France is alone, and God is alone. And what is my loneliness before the loneliness of my country and my God? I see now that the loneliness of God is His strength. What would He be if He listened to your jealous little counsels? Well, my loneliness shall be my strength too. It is better to be alone with God. His friendship will not fail me, nor his counsel, nor his love. In his strength I will dare and dare and dare until I die. I will go out now to the common people and let the love in their eyes comfort me, for the hate in yours. I will all be glad. You will all be glad to see me burnt. But if I go through the fire, I shall go through it to their heart forever and ever. So, God be with me.
You know, the woman is quite impossible. I really don't dislike her, really, but what do you do with such a character?
As God is my judge, if she fell into the Loire, I would jump in at full armor to fish her out. But if she plays the fool at Compiègne and gets caught, I must leave her to her doom.
Then you had better chain me up, for I could follow her to hell when the spirit rises in her like that.
She disturbs my judgment too. There is a dangerous power in her outbursts. But the pit is open at her feet, and for good or evil, we cannot turn her from it.
Only she could keep quiet or go home.
not a trial by jury. The court being the bishop's court, with the Inquisition participating. There are arched doors right and left. It is a fine, sunshiny May morning.
I suppose your lordship is aware that we have no business here. This is an ecclesiastical court, and we are only the secular arm.
I am aware of that fact. Will it please your impudence to find the Bishop of Beauvais for me and give him a hint that he can have a word with me before the trial if he wishes?
Yes, my lord.
And mind you behave yourself. Do not address him as Pious Peter.
No, my lord. I shall be kind to him because when the maid is brought in, Pious Peter will have to pick a peck of pickled pepper.
I wish your lordship good morrow.
Good morrow to your lordship. Have I had the pleasure of meeting your friends before? I think not.
This, my lord, is Brother John Lemaitre of the Order of St. Dominic. He is acting as deputy for the chief inquisitor into the evil of heresy in France. Brother John, the Earl of Warwick.
Your reverence is most welcome. We have no inquisitor in England, unfortunately, though we miss him greatly, especially on occasions like the present.
This gentleman is Canon John d'Estevez of the Chapel of Bayeux. He is acting as promoter.
Promoter?
Prosecutor, you would call him in civil law.
Ah, the prosecutor. Quite. I am very glad to make your acquaintance, Canon d'Estevez. May I ask what stage the proceedings have reached? It is now more than 9 months since the maid was captured at Compiègne by the Burgundians. It is fully 4 months since I brought her from the Burgundians for a very handsome sum, solely that she might be brought to justice. It is nearly 3 months since I delivered her to you upon my Lord Bishop as a person suspected of heresy. May I suggest that you are taking rather unconscionable time to make up your minds about a very plain case. Is this trial never going to end?
It is not yet begun, my lord.
Not yet begun? Why, you have been at it 11 weeks.
We have not been idle, my lord. We have had 15 examinations of the maid, 6 public and 9 private.
You see, my lord, I have been present at only 2 of these examinations. They were proceedings of the bishop's court solely, and not of the Holy Office. I have only just decided to associate myself, that is, to associate the Holy Inquisition with the bishop's court. I did not at first think that this was a case of heresy at all. I regarded it as a political case, and the maid was a prisoner of war. But having now been present at 2 of the examinations, I must admit that this seems to be one of the gravest cases of heresy within my experience. Therefore, everything is now in order, and we proceed to trial this morning.
Sir, I am the promoter, and it has been my painful duty to present this case against the girl, but believe me, I would throw up my case today and hasten to her defense if I did not know that men far my superiors in learning and piety, in eloquence and persuasiveness, have been sent to reason with her, to explain to her the danger she is running and the ease with which she may avoid it. Men have dared to say that we are acting from hate, but God is our witness that they lie. Have we tortured her? No. Have we ceased to exhort her, to implore her to have pity on herself, to come to the bosom of her church as an erring but beloved child? Have we not tried?
Take care, Canon. All that you say is true, but if you make his lordship believe it, I will not answer for your life, and hardly for my own.
Oh, my lord, you are very hard on us poor English, but we certainly do not share your pious desire to save the maid. In fact, I tell you now, plainly, that her death is a political necessity, which I regret but cannot help. If the church lets her go, I can no longer...
If the church lets her go, woe to the man were he the emperor himself who dares lay a finger on her. The church is not subject to political necessity, my lord.
You need have no anxiety about the result, my lord. You have an invincible ally in the matter. One who is far more determined than you that she shall burn.
And who is this very convenient partisan, may I ask?
The maid herself. Unless you put a gag in her mouth, you cannot prevent her from convicting herself 10 times over every time she opens it.
That is perfectly true, my lord. My hair bristles on my head when I hear so young a creature utter such blasphemies.
Well, by all means, do your best for her. If you are quite sure it will be of no avail. I should be sorry to have to act without the blessings of the church.
And yet they say Englishmen are hypocrites. You play for your side, my lord, even at the peril of your soul. I cannot but admire such devotion, but I dare not go so far myself. I fear damnation.
If we feared anything, we could never govern England, my lord. Shall I send your people in to you?
Yes, it would be very good of your lordship to withdraw and allow the court to assemble. Good morning, Master de Stogambert, chaplain to the Cardinal of England.
Of Winchester, my lord. I have to make my protest, my lord.
You make a great many.
I am not without support, my lord. Here is Master de Courceurs, Canon de Paris, who associates himself with me in my protest.
Oh, well, what is the matter?
Speak you, Master Courceurs, since I do not seem to enjoy his lordship's confidence.
My lord, we have been at great pains to draw up an indictment of the maid on 64 counts. We are not told that they have been reduced without consulting us.
Master de Courcey, I am the culprit. I am overwhelmed with admiration for the zeal displayed in your 64 counts. But in accusing a heretic, as in other things, enough is enough. Also, you must remember that all the members of the court are not so subtle and profound as you, and that some of your very great learning might appear to them to be very great nonsense. Therefore, I have thought it well to have your 64 articles cut down to 12.
12?
12 will, believe me, be quite enough for your purpose.
Well, I protest. That is all.
I submit to you with great respect that if we persist in trying the maid on trumpery issues on which we may have to declare her innocent, she may escape us on the great main issue of heresy, on which she seems so far to insist on her own guilt. I will ask you, therefore, to say nothing when the maid is brought before us of these stealings of horses and dancings round fairy trees with the village children and prayings at haunted wells and a dozen other things which you were diligently inquiring into until my arrival. There is not a village girl in France against whom you could not prove such things. They all dance round haunted trees and pray at magic wells. Some of them would steal the Pope's horse if they got the chance. Heresy, gentlemen, heresy is the charge we have to try. The detection and suppression of heresy is my peculiar business. I am here as an inquisitor, not as an ordinary magistrate. Stick to the heresy, gentlemen, and leave the other matters alone.
I may say that we have sent to the girl's village to make inquiries about her, and there is practically nothing serious against her.
What? The
Nothing
fairy tree,
serious,
not
my
you.
lord.
Silence, gentlemen, or speak one at a time.
That is what the maid said to us last Friday.
I wish you had followed her counsel, sir. When I say nothing serious, I mean nothing that men of sufficiently large mind to conduct an inquiry like this would consider serious. I agree with my colleague, the Inquisitor, that it is on account of heresy that we must proceed.
But is there any great harm in the girl's heresy? Is it not merely her simplicity? Many saints have said as much as Joan.
Brother Martin, if you had seen what I have seen of heresy, you would not think it a light thing, even in its most apparently harmless and even lovable and pious origins. Heresy begins with people who are, to all appearance, better than their neighbors. A gentle and pious girl, or a young man who has obeyed the command of our Lord by giving all his riches to the poor and putting on the garb of poverty. and life of austerity and the rule of humility and charity, may be the founder of a heresy that will wreck both the church and empire if not ruthlessly stamped out in time. The records of Holy Inquisition are full of histories we dare not give to the world, because they are beyond the belief of honest men and innocent women. Yet they all began with saintly simpletons. I have seen this again and again. Mark what I say. The woman who quarrels with her clothes and puts on the dress of a man is like the man who throws off his fur gown and dresses like John the Baptist. They are followed, as surely as the night follows the day, by bands of wild women and men who refuse to wear any clothes at all. When maids will neither marry nor take regular vows, and men reject marriage and exalt their lusts into divine inspirations, then, as surely as the summer follows the spring, they begin with polygamy and end with incest. Heresy at first seems innocent and even laudable, but it ends in such a monstrous horror of unnatural wickedness that the most tender-hearted among you, if you saw it at work as I have seen it, would clamor against the mercy of the church in dealing with it. You are all, I hope, merciful men. How else could you have devoted your lives to the service of our gentle Savior? You are going to see before you a young girl, pious and chaste. For I must tell you, gentlemen, that the things said of her by our English friends are supported by no evidence, whilst there is abundant testimony that her excesses have been excesses of religion and charity, and not of worldliness and wantonness. This girl is not one of those whose hard features are the sign of hard hearts, and whose brazen looks and lewd demeanor condemn them before they are accused. Anger is a bad counselor. Cast out anger. Pity is sometimes worse. Cast out pity, but do not cast out mercy. Remember that only justice comes first. Have you anything to say, my lord, before we proceed to trial?
You have spoken for me, and spoken better than I could. I could not see how any sane man would disagree with a word that has fallen from you. But this I will add. The crude heresies of which you have told us are horrible, but their horror is like that of the Black Death. They rage for a while and then die out, because sound and sensible men will not, under any circumstances, be reconciled to nakedness and incest and polygamy and the like. But we are confronted throughout Europe with a heresy that is spreading among men, not weak in the mind nor diseased in brain. Nay, the stronger the mind, the more obstinate the heretic. It is neither discredited by fantastic extremes nor corrupted by the common lust of flesh, but it too sets up the private judgment of the single erring mortal against the considered wisdom and experience of the church. Oh, and that reminds me, what provision has the heir of Warwick made for the defense of the secular arm, should the maid prove obdurate, and the people be moved to pity her?
Have no fear on that score, my lord. The noble earl has 800 men-at-arms at the gates. She will not slip through our English fingers, even if it were the whole city by her side.
Will you not add, God grant that she repent and purge her sin?
That doesn't seem to me to be consistent, but of course I agree with your lordship.
The court sits.
Let the accused be brought in.
The accused, let her be brought in.
Sit down, Joan. You look very pale today. Are you not well?
Thank you, kindly. I am well enough, but the bishop sent me some carp, and it made me ill.
Oh, I am sorry. I told them to see that it was fresh.
You meant to be good to me, I know, but it is a fish that does not agree with me. The English thought you were trying to poison me.
No, my
but they
lord.
determined that I shall be burnt as a witch. and they sent their doctor to cure me, but he was forbidden to bleed me because the silly people believe that a witch's witchery leaves her if she is bled. So he only called me filthy names. Why do you leave me in the hands of the English? I should be in the hands of the church. And why must I be chained by the foot to the log of a wood? Are you afraid I will fly away?
Woman, it is not for you to question the court. It is for us to question you.
When you were left unchained, did you not try to escape by jumping from a tower 60 feet high? If you cannot fly like a witch, how is it that you are still alive?
I suppose because the tower was not so high then. It has grown higher every day since you began asking me questions about it.
Why did you jump from the tower?
How do you know that I jumped?
You were found lying in the moat. Why did you leave the tower?
Why would anybody leave a prison if they could get out?
You tried to escape.
Of course I did. Not for the first time either. If you leave the door of a cage open, the bird will fly out.
That is a confession of heresy. I call the attention of the court to it.
Heresy, he calls it. Am I a heretic because I tried to escape from prison?
Assuredly. If you are in the hands of the church and you willfully take yourself out of its hands, you are deserting the church, and that is heresy.
That is a great nonsense. Nobody could be such a fool as to think that.
You hear, my lord, how I am reviled in the execution of my duty by this woman.
I have warned you before, Joan, that you are doing yourself no good by these pert answers.
But you will not talk sense to me. I am reasonable if you will be reasonable.
This is not yet in order. You forget, Master Promoter, that the proceedings have not been formally opened. The time for questions is after she has sworn on the Gospels to tell us the whole truth.
You say this to me every time. I have said it again and again, but I will tell you all that concerns this trial. I cannot tell you the whole truth. God does not allow the whole truth to be told. You do not understand it when I tell it. It is an old saying that he who tells too much truth is sure to be hanged. I'm wary of this argument. We have been over it 9 times already. I have sworn as much as I will swear, and I will swear no more.
My lord, she should be put to the torture.
You hear, Joan? That is what happens to the obdurate. Think before you answer. Has she been tuned the instruments?
They are ready, my lord. She has seen them.
If you tear me limb from limb until you separate my soul from my body, you will get nothing out of me beyond what I have told you. What more is there to tell you that you could understand? Besides, I could not bear to be hurt. If you hurt me, I will say anything you like to stop the pain, but then I will take it all back afterwards. So what is the use of it?
There is much in that. We should proceed mercifully.
But the torture is customary.
It must not be applied wantonly. If the accused will confess voluntarily, then its use cannot be justified.
But this is unusual and irregular. She refuses to take the oath.
Do you want to torture the girl for the mere pleasure of it?
But it is not a pleasure. It is the law. It is customary. It is always done.
That is not so, Master, except when the inquiries are carried on by people who do not know their legal business.
But the woman is a heretic. I assure you it is always done.
It will not be done today. It is not necessary. Let there be an end of this. I will not have it said that we proceeded on forced confessions. We have sent our best preachers and doctors to this woman to exhort and implore her to save her soul and body from the fire. We shall not send the executioner to thrust her into it.
Your lordship is more merciful, of course, but it is a great responsibility to depart from the usual practice.
Thou art a rare noodle, master. Do what was done last time is thy rule, huh?
Thou wanton, dost thou dare call me noodle?
Patience, Master, patience. I fear you will soon be only too terribly avenged.
Noodle indeed.
Meanwhile, let us not be moved by the rough side of a shepherd's lass's tongue.
Nay, I am no shepherd lass, though I have helped with the sheep like anyone else. I will do a lady's work in the house, spin or weave, against any woman in her wrong.
This is not a time for vanity, Joan. You stand in great peril.
I know it. Have I not been punished for my vanity? If I had not worn my cloth of gold surcoat and battled like a fool, that Burgundy soldier would have never pulled me backwards off my horse, and I should not have been here.
If you are so clever at women's work, why do you not stay at home and do it?
There are plenty of other women to do it, but there is nobody to do my work.
Come, we are wasting time on trifles. Joan, I'm going to put a most solemn question to you. Take care how you answer, for your life and salvation is at stake on it. Will you, for all you have said and done, be it good or bad, accept the judgment of God's church on earth? More especially as to the acts and words that are imputed to you in this trial by the promoter here, will you submit your case to the inspired interpretation of the church militant?
I am a faithful child of the church. I will obey the church.
Oh, you will?
Provided it does not command anything impossible.
She imputes the church the error and folly of commanding the impossible.
If you command me to declare that all that I have said and done, and all the visions and revelations I have had were not from God, then that is impossible. I will not declare it for anything in the world. What God made me do, I will never go back on, and what he has commanded or shall command, I will not fail to do in spite of any man alive. That is what I mean by impossible. And in case the church should bid me do anything contrary to the command I have from God, I will not consent to it, no matter what it may be.
My lord, do you need any more than this?
Woman, you have said enough to burn 10 heretics. Will you not be warned? Will you not understand?
If the church militant tells you that your revelations and visions are sent by the devil to tempt you to your damnation, will you not believe that the church is wiser than you?
I believe that God is wiser than I am. And it is his commands that I do. All the things that you call my crimes have come to me by the command of God. I say that I have done them by the order of God. It is impossible for me to say anything else. If any churchman says the contrary, I shall not mind him. I shall mind God alone, whose command I always follow.
You do not know what you are saying, child. Do you want to kill yourself? Listen, do you not believe that you are the subject to the Church of God on earth?
Yes. When have I ever denied it?
Good. That means, does it not, that you are subject to our Lord the Pope, to the cardinals, the archbishops, and the bishops for whom his lordship stands here today?
God must be served first.
Then your voices command you not to submit yourself to the church militant.
My voices do not tell me to disobey the church, but God must be served first.
And you and not the church are to be the judge.
What other judgment can I judge by but my own?
Out of your own mouth you have condemned yourself. We have striven for your salvation to the verge of sinning ourselves. We have opened the door to you again and again, and you have shut it in our faces and in the face of God. Dare you pretend, after what you have said, that you are in a state of grace?
If I am not, may God bring me to it. If I am, may God keep me in it.
That is a very good reply, my lord.
Were you in a state of grace when you stole the bishop's horse?
Oh, devil take the bishop's horse, and you too. We are here to try a case of heresy. And no sooner do we come to the root of the matter than we are thrown back in by idiots who understand nothing but horses.
Gentlemen, in clinging to these small issues, you are the maid's best advocates. I'm not surprised that his lordship has lost patience with you. What does the promoter say? Does he press those trumpery matters?
I am bound by my office to press everything, but when the woman confesses a heresy that must bring upon her the doom of excommunication, of what consequence is it that she has been guilty also of offenses which expose her to minor penances? I share the impatience of his lordship as to these minor charges. Only, with great respect, I must emphasize the gravity of two very horrible and blasphemous crimes which she does not deny. First, she has intercourse with evil spirits and is therefore a sorceress. Second, she wears men's clothes, which is indecent, unnatural, and abominable. And in spite of our most earnest remonstrances and entreaties, she will not change them even to receive the sacrament.
Is the blessed Saint Catherine an evil spirit? The Saint Margaret? Is Michael the archangel?
How do you know that the spirit which appears to you is an archangel? Does he not appear to you as a naked man?
Do you think God could not afford clothes for him?
Well answered, Joan.
It is, in effect, well answered. But no evil spirit would be so simple as to appear to a young girl in a guise that would scandalize her, when he meant her to take him for a messenger from the Most High. Joan, the Church instructs you that these apparitions are demons seeking your soul's perdition. Do you accept the instruction of the Church?
I accept the messenger of God. How can any faithful believer in the Church refuse him?
Wretched woman, again, I ask you, do you know what you are saying?
You wrestle in vain with the devil for her soul, my lord. She will not be saved. Now, as to this matter of the man's dress, for the last time, will you put off that impudent attire and dress as becomes your sex?
I will not.
The sin of disobedience, my lord.
But my voices tell me I must dress as a soldier.
Joan, does it not prove to you that the voices are the voices of evil spirits? Can you suggest to us one good reason why an angel of God would give you such shameless advice?
Why, yes. What can be plainer common sense? I was a soldier living among soldiers. I am a prisoner guarded by soldiers. If I were to dress as a woman, they would think of me as a woman, and then what would become of me? If I dress as a soldier, they think of me as a soldier, and I can live with them as I do at home with my brothers. That is why St. Catherine tells me I must not dress as a woman until she gives me leave.
When will she give you leave?
When you take me out of the hands of the English soldiers. I have told you that I should be in the hands of the Church and not left night and day with 4 soldiers of the Earl of Warwick. Do you not want me to live with them in petticoats?
My lord, what she says is, God knows, very wrong and shocking, but there is a grain of worldly sense in it, such as might impose on a simple village maiden.
If we were as simple in the village as you are in your courts and palaces, there would be soon no wheat to make bread for you.
This is the thanks you get for trying to save her, Brother Martin.
Joan, we are all trying to save you. His lordship is trying to save you. The Inquisitor could not be more just to you if you were his own daughter. You are blinded by terrible pride and self-sufficiency.
Why do you say that? I have said nothing wrong. I cannot understand.
The blessed Saint Anastasius has laid it down in his creed that those who cannot understand are damned. It is not enough to be simple. It is not enough even to be what simple people call good. The simplicity of a darkened mind is no better than the simplicity of a beast.
There is great wisdom in the simplicity of a beast, let me tell you, and sometimes great foolishness in the wisdom of scholars.
We know that, Joan. We are not so foolish as you think us. Try to resist the temptation to make pert replies to us. Do you see that man who stands behind you?
Your torturer. But the bishop said I was not to be tortured.
You are not to be tortured because you have confessed everything that is necessary to your condemnation. That man is not only the torturer, he is also the executioner. Executioner, let the maid hear your answers to my questions. Are you prepared for the burning of a heretic this day?
Yes, master.
Is the stake ready?
It is. in the marketplace. The English have built it too high for me to get near her and make the death easier. It will be a cruel death.
But you are not going to burn me now.
You realize it at last.
There are 800 English soldiers waiting to take you to the marketplace the moment the sentence of excommunication has passed the lips of your judges. You are within a few short moments of that doom.
Oh, God.
Do not despair, Joan. The church is merciful. You can save yourself.
Yes. Yes, my voices promised me that I should not be burnt. St. Catherine bade me to be bold.
Woman, are you quite mad? Do you not see that your voices have deceived you?
No, that isn't possible.
Impossible! They have led you straight to your excommunication and to the stake which is out there waiting for you.
Have they kept a single promise to you since you were taken at Compiegne? The devil has betrayed you. The church holds out its arms to you.
Oh, it is true. My voices have deceived me. I have been mocked by devils. My faith is broken. I have dared and dared, but only a fool will walk into a fire. God, who gave me my common sense, cannot will me to do that.
Now God be praised that he has saved you at the 11th hour.
Amen.
What must I do?
You must sign a solemn recantation of your heresy.
Sign? That means to write my name. I cannot write.
You have signed letters before?
Yes, but someone held my hand and guided the pen. I can make my mark.
My lord, do you mean that you're going to allow this woman to escape us?
The law must take its course, Master de Sombre, and you know the law.
I know that there is no faith in a Frenchman. I know what my lord the Cardinal of Winchester will say when he hears of this. I know what the Earl of Warwick will do when he learns that you intend to betray him. There are 800 men at the gate who will see that this abominable witch is burnt in spite of your teeth.
What is this?
Did you hear that?
This is intolerable.
Silence, pray. Gentlemen, pray, silence. Master Chaplain, bethink you a moment of your holy office, of what you are, and where you are. I direct you to sit down.
I will not sit down.
Master Inquisitor, this man has called me a traitor to my face before now.
So you are a traitor. You are all traitors. You have been doing nothing but begging this damnable witch on your knees to recant all through this trial.
If you will not sit, you must stand. That is all.
I will not stand.
My lord, here is the form of recantation for the maid to sign.
Read it to her.
Do not trouble. I will sign it.
Woman, you must know what you are putting your hand to. Read it to her, Brother Martin, and let all be silent.
I, Joan, commonly called the maid, a miserable sinner, do confess that I have most grievously sinned in the following articles. I have pretended to have revelations from God and the angels and the blessed saints, and perversely rejected the church's warnings that these were temptations by demons. I have blasphemed abominably by wearing an immodest dress, contrary to the Holy Scripture and the canons of the church. Also, I have clipped my hair in the style of a man, and against all duties which have made my sex specially acceptable in heaven, have taken up the sword, even to the shedding of human blood, inciting men to slay each other, invoking evil spirits to delude them, and stubbornly and most blasphemously imputing these sins to Almighty God. I confess to the sin of sedition, to the sin of idolatry, to the sin of disobedience, to the sin of pride, and to the sin of heresy. All of which sins I now renounce and abjure and depart from, humbly thanking you, doctors and masters, who have brought me back to the truth and into the grace of our Lord. And I will never return to my errors, but will remain in communion with our Holy Church and in obedience to our Holy Father, the Pope of Rome. All this I swear by God Almighty and the Holy Gospels, in witness whereto I sign my name to this recantation.
You understand this, Joan?
It is plain enough, sir.
And is it true?
It may be true. If it were not true, the fire would not be ready for me in the marketplace.
Come, child, let me guide your hand. Take the pen. Jehane. So, now make the mark by yourself.
There.
Praise be to God, my brothers, the lamb has returned to the flock, and the shepherd rejoices in her more than in 99 just persons.
We declare thee by this act set free from the danger of excommunication in which thou stoodest.
I thank you.
But because thou hast sinned most presumptuously against God and the Holy Church, and that thou mayest repent thy errors in solitary contemplation and be shielded from all temptation to return to them, we, for the good of thy soul, and for a penance that may wipe out thy sins and bring thee finally unspotted to the throne of grace, do condemn thee to eat the bread of sorrow and drink the water of affliction to the end of thy earthly days in perpetual imprisonment.
Perpetual imprisonment! Am I not then to be set free?
Set free, child, after such wickedness as yours. What are you dreaming of?
Give me that writing. Light your fire. Do you think I dread it as much as the light a rat in a hole? My voices were right.
Joan.
Yes, they told me you were fools, and that I was not to listen to your fine words nor trust your charity. You promised me my life, but you lied. You think that life is nothing but being not stone dead. It is not the bread and water. I fear I can live on bread. What have I asked for more? It is no hardship to drink water if the water be clean. Bread has no sorrow for me, and water no affliction. But to shut me from the light of the sky, the sight of the fields and flowers, chain my feet, so that I can never ride again with the soldiers, nor climb the hills. To make me breathe foul, damp darkness, and keep me from everything that brings me back to the love of God, when your wickedness and foolishness tempt me to hate him. All this is worse than the verse in the Bible that was heeded 7 times. I could do without my war horse. I could drag about in a skirt. I could let the banners and the trumpets and the knights and soldiers pass me and leave me behind as they leave the other women. If only I could still hear the wind and the trees and the logs and the sunshine and the young lambs crying through the healthy frost, and blessed church bells that send my angel voices floating to me on the wind. But without these things, I cannot live. By your wanting to take them away from me or any other human creature, I know that your counsel is of the devil and mine is of God.
She is a relapsed heretic, obstinate, incorrigible, and altogether unworthy of the mercy we have shown her. I call for her excommunication.
Light your fire, man, to the stake with her.
Wicked girl, if your counsel were of God, would he not deliver you?
His ways are not your ways. His will that I go through the fire to his bosom. For I am his child. You are not fit that I should live among you. That is my last word to you.
Not yet. We decree that thou art a relapsed heretic,
Cast out from the unity of the church,
sundered from her body,
infected with the leprosy of heresy.
a member of Satan.
We declare that thou must be excommunicate.
And if there any true sign of penitence appear in thee, to permit our brother Martin to administer to thee the sacrament of penance.
Into the fire with the witch.
No, this is irregular. The representative of the secular arm should be here to receive her from this.
That man is an incorrigible fool.
Brother Martin, see that everything is done in order.
My place is at her side, my lord. You must exercise your own authority.
Fire can now be seen reddening the May daylight. Only the bishop and the inquisitor are left in the court.
We must go stop that.
Yes, but not too fast, my lord.
There is not a moment to lose.
We have proceeded in perfect order. If the English choose to put themselves in the wrong, it is not our business to put them in the right. A flaw in the procedure may be useful later on, one never knows. And the sooner it is over, the better for that poor girl.
That is true. But I suppose we must see this dreadful thing through.
One gets used to it. Habit is everything. I am accustomed to the fire. It is soon over. But it is a terrible thing to see a young and innocent creature crushed between these mighty forces, the church and the law.
You call her innocent?
Oh, quite innocent. What does she know of the church and the law? She did not understand a word we were saying. It is the ignorant who suffer. Come, or we shall be late for the end.
I shall not be sorry if we are. I am not so accustomed as you.
Oh, I am intruding. I thought it was all over.
Do not go, my lord. It is all over.
The execution is not in our hands, my lord. But it is desirable that we should witness the end. So, by your leave.
There is some doubt to whether your people have observed the forms of law, my lord.
I am told that there is some doubt whether your authority runs in this city, my lord. It is not in your diocese. However, if you will answer for that, I will swear for the rest.
It is to God we both must answer. Good morning, my lord.
My lord, good morning.
They look at one another for a moment with unconcealed hostility. Then Cochon follows the Inquisitor out. Warwick looks round. Finding himself alone, he calls for attendance.
Hello? Some attendance here? Hello there. Hello, Brian. You young blackguard, where are you? God! They have all gone to see the burning. Even that child. What in the devil's name?
I let them do it. If I had known, I would have torn her from your hands. You don't know. You haven't seen it. It is so easy to talk when you don't know. You madden yourselves with words. You damn yourselves because it feels grand to throw oil on the flaming hell of your own temper. But when it is brought home to you, when you see the thing you have done, when it is blinding your eyes, stifling your nostril, tearing your heart, then, God, take this sight from me. Oh Christ, deliver me from this fire that is consuming me. She cried to thee in the midst of it. Jesus, 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 she is in thy bosom, and I am in hell forevermore.
Come, come, man, you must pull yourself together. We shall have the whole town talking of this. If you have not the nerve to see these things, why do you not do as I do and stay away?
She asked for a cross. A soldier gave her 2 sticks tied together. Thank God he was an Englishman. I might have done it, but I did not. I'm a coward, a mad dog, but he was an Englishman too.
Hey, the fool, they will burn him too if the priests get a hold of him. I am informed that this is all over, Brother Martin.
I do not know, my lord. It may have only just begun.
What does that mean exactly?
I took this cross from the church for her so that she might see it to the last. She had only 2 sticks that she had put in her bosom. When the fire crept round us and she saw that if I held the cross before her, I should be burnt myself, she warned me to get down and save myself. My lord, a girl who could think of another's danger in such a moment was not inspired by the devil. When I had to snatch the cross from her sight, she looked up to heaven, and I do not believe the heavens were empty. I firmly believe that her Savior appeared to her then in his tenderest glory. She called to him and died. This is not the end for her, but the beginning.
Well, fellow, who are you?
I'm not addressed as fellow, my lord. I am the master executioner of Ruin. It is a highly skilled mystery. I'm come to tell your lordship that your orders have been obeyed.
I crave your pardon, Master Executioner, and I will see that you lose nothing by having no relics to sell. I have your word, have I, that nothing remains, not a bone, not a nail, not a hair?
Her heart would not burn, my lord, but everything that was left is at the bottom of the river. You have heard the last of her.
The last of her. I wonder.
restless,
Really?
wakefully 1456, full of summer lighting after many days of heat. King Charles VII of France, formerly Joan's Dauphin, now Charles the Victorious, aged 51, is in bed in one of his royal chateaux. Charles is not asleep, he is reading in bed. Ladvenu enters, 25 years older, strange and stark in bearing, and still carrying the cross from Rouen. Charles evidently does not expect him, for he springs out of bed on the farther side from the door.
Who are you? Where is my gentleman in the bedchamber? What do you want?
I bring you glad tidings of great joy. Rejoice, O king, for the taint is removed from your blood and the stain from your crown. Justice long delayed is at last triumphant.
What are you talking about? Who are you?
I am Brother Martin.
And who, saving your reverence, may Brother Martin be?
I held this cross when the maid perished in the fire. 25 years have passed since then, nearly 10,000 days. And on every one of those days, I have prayed to God to justify his daughter on earth as she justified in heaven.
Oh, I remember now. I've heard of you. You have a bee in your bonnet about the maid. Have you been at the inquiry?
I have given my testimony.
Is it over?
It is over.
Satisfactorily.
The ways of God are very strange.
How so?
At the trial which sent a saint to the stake as a heretic and a sorceress, the truth was told, the law was upheld, mercy was shown beyond all custom. No wrong was done but the final and dreadful wrong of the lying sentence and the pitiless fire. At this inquiry from which I have just come, there was shameless perjury, courtly corruption, calumny of the dead who did their duty according to their lights, cowardly evasion of the issue, testimony made of idle tales that could not impose on a plowboy. Yet out of this insult to justice, this defamation of the church, this orgy of lying and foolishness, the truth is set in the noonday sun on the hilltop. The white robe of innocence is cleansed from the smirch of the burning faggots, the holy life sanctified. The true heart that lived through the flame consecrated. A great lie is silenced forever, and a great wrong is set right before all men.
My friend, provided they can no longer say that I was crowned by a witch and a heretic, I shall not fuss about how the trick has been done. Joan would not have fussed about it if it came all right in the end. She's not that sort. I knew her. So rehabilitation complete. I made it pretty clear that there was be no nonsense about it.
It is solemnly declared that her judges were full of corruption, cozenage, fraud, and malice. 4 falsehoods.
Never mind the falsehoods. Her judges are dead.
The sentence on her is broken, annulled, annihilated, set aside as non-existence without value or effect.
Good. Nobody can challenge my consecration now, can they?
Not Charlemagne nor King David himself was more sacredly crowned.
Excellent. Think what that means for me.
I think of what it means to her.
You cannot. None of us ever knew what anything meant to her. She was like nobody else. She must take care of herself wherever she is. For I cannot take care of her. Neither can you, whatever you may think. You are not big enough. But I will tell you this about her. If you could bring her back to life, they would burn her again within 6 months, for all their present adoration of her. And you would hold up the cross, too, just the same. So, let her rest. And let you and I mind our own business, and not meddle with hers.
God forbid that I should have no share in her, nor she in me. Henceforth my path will not lie through palaces, nor my conversations be with kings.
Much good may it do you, holy man. That was a funny chap. How do you get in? Where are my people? Hello? Someone come and shut this window. Everything's being blown around all over the place. Who is there? Who's that? Oh, murder!
Easy, Charlie, easy. What are making all that noise for? No one can hear thee. Thou'rt asleep.
Joan? Are you a ghost, Joan?
Hardly even that, lad. Can a poor burnt-up lass have a ghost? I am but a dream that thou'rt dreaming. Thou look'st older, lad.
I am older. Am I really asleep?
Fallen asleep over thy silly book.
Well, that's funny.
Not so funny as that I am dead, is it?
You really dead?
As dead as anybody ever is, laddie. I am out of the body.
Just fancy. Did it hurt much?
Did what hurt much?
No, being burnt.
Oh, that. I can't remember very well. I think it did at first, but then it all got mixed up. And I was not in my right mind until I was free of the body. But do not thou go handling fire and think it will not hurt thee. How hast been ever since?
Not so bad. Do you know, I actually led an army out to win battles. Down into the moat, up to my waist in mud and blood. Up the ladders with the stones and hot pitch raining down. Just like you.
No. Did I make a man of thee after all, Charlie?
I am Charles the Victorious now. I had to be braved because you were. Agnes put a little pluck into me too.
Agnes? Who was Agnes?
Agnes Sorrel. Woman I fell in love with. I dream of her often. Never dreamed of you before.
Is she dead like me?
Yes. She was not like you. She's very beautiful.
I was no beauty. I was always a rough one, a regular soldier. I might almost as well have been a man. Pity I wasn't. I should not have bothered you all so much then. But my head was in the skies. The glory of God was upon me, and man or woman, I should have bothered you as long as your noses were in the mud. Now, tell me, what has happened since you wise men knew no better than to make a heap of cinders of me?
Your mother and brothers have sued the courts to have your case tried over again. The courts have declared that your judges were full of corruption and cozenage, fraud, and malice.
Not they. They were as honest a lot of poor fools as ever burnt their betters.
Sentence on you is broken, annihilated, annulled, null, non-existent, without value or effect.
I was burned all the same. Can they unburn me?
If they could, they would think twice before they did it. They have decreed that a beautiful cross be placed where the stake stood, your perpetual memory and your salvation.
Is it the memory and the salvation that sanctify the cross, not the cross that sanctifies the memory and salvation? I shall outlast that cross. I shall be remembered when men who have forgotten where Rouen stood.
There you go with your self-conceit. Same as ever. I think you might say a word of thanks to me for having your justice done at last.
Liar.
Thank you.
Why, if it isn't Peter Cashon, how are you, Peter? What luck have you had since you burned me?
None. I arraign the justice of man. It is not the justice of God.
Still dreaming of justice, Peter. See what justice came to with me. What has happened to thee? Art thou dead or alive?
Dead, dishonored. They pursued me beyond the grave. They excommunicated my dead body. They dug it up and flung it in the common sewer.
Your dead body did not feel the spade and the sewer as my live body felt the fire.
Yes, but this thing they have done against me hurts justice, destroys faith, saps the foundations of the church. The solid earth sways like the treacherous seas beneath the feet of men and spirits alike, when the innocent are slain in the name of law, and their wrongs undone by slandering the pure of heart.
Well, Peter, I hope men will be the better for remembering you. They would not remember me so well if you had not burned me.
They will be the worse for remembering me. They will see in me evil triumphing over good, falsehood over truth, cruelty over mercy, hell over heaven. Their courage will rise as they think of you, only to faint as they think of me. Yet God is my witness, I was just, I was merciful, I was faithful to my light, I could do no other than what I did.
Yes, it is always you good men that do such big mischiefs. Look at me. I'm not Charles the Good, nor Charles the Wise, nor Charles the Bold. Joan's worshippers may even call me Charles the Coward because I did not pull her out of that fire. But I have done less harm than any of you. You people with your heads in the sky spend all your time trying to turn the world upside down. But I take the world as it is and say that top side up is the right side up. And I keep my nose pretty close to the ground. I ask you, what king of France would have done better? Or been a better fellow in this little way?
Oh, really, King of France, Charlie? Be the English gone?
I have kept my word. The English are gone.
Praise be God. Now is fair France a province in heaven? Tell me all about the fighting, Jack. Was it thou that led them? Went thou God's captain to thy death?
I am not dead. My body is very comfortably asleep in my bed at Chateaudun. But my spirit is called here by yours.
And you fought the my way, Jack? Not the old way, chafing for ransoms, but the maid's way, staking life against death with the heart high and humble and void of malice, and nothing counting under God but France, free, French. Was it my way, Jack?
Faith, it was any way that would win. But the way that won was always your way. I give you my best, lassie. I wrote a fine letter to set you right at the new trial. Perhaps I never should have let the priest burn you, but I was busy fighting. And it was the church's business, not mine. There was no use in both of us being burned, was there?
Aye, blame it on the priests. But I, who am beyond blame and praise, tell you that the world is saved neither by priests nor soldiers, but by God and his saints. The church militant sent this woman to the fire, but even as she burned, the flames whitened into the radiance of the church triumphant.
Rum tum trumpledum, bacon fat and rumpledum, old Saint Mumpledum, pull his tail and stumpledum. Oh my Marianne.
What villainous troubadour taught you that droggle?
No troubadour. We made it up ourselves as we marched. We were not gentle folks and troubadours. Music straight out of the heart of the people, as you might say. Rum tum trumpledum, bacon fat and rumpledum, old Saint Mumbledum, pull his hair and stumbledum. That don't mean anything, you know, but it keeps you marching. You servant, ladies and gentlemen, who asked for a saint?
Be you a saint?
Yes, lady, straight from hell.
A saint and from hell?
Yes, noble captain. I have a day off. Every year, you know. That's my allowance for one good action.
Wretch, in all your years of life, you did only one good action?
I never thought about it. It came natural-like, but they scored it up for me.
Well, what was it?
Why, the silliest thing you ever heard.
He tied 2 sticks together and gave them to a poor lass that was going to be burned.
Right. Who told you that?
Never mind. Would you know her if you saw her again?
Not I. There are so many girls, and they all expect you to remember them as if they were the only one in the world. This must have been a prime sort, for I have a day off every year for her, and so until 12 o'clock, punctually, I am a saint at your service, noble lords and lovely ladies.
And after 12?
After 12, back to the only place that fits for the likes of me.
Back there? You? That gave the lass the cross?
Well, she asked for it, and they were going to burn her. She said she had good right to the cross, as they had, and they had dozens of them. It was her funeral, not theirs. Where was the harm in it?
I am not reproaching you, but I cannot bear to think of you in torment.
No great torment, lady. You see, I was used to worse.
What? Was the hell?
15 years service in the French wars. Hell was a treat after that. Suits me somehow. The day off was dull at first, like a wet Sunday. I don't mind it so much now. They tell me I can have as many as I like as soon as I want them.
What is hell like?
You won't find it so bad, sir. Jolly. Like as if you were always drunk without the trouble and the expense of drinking. Tip-top company, too. Emperors, popes, and kings, all the sorts. They chip me about giving the young Judy the cross, but I don't care. I stand up to them proper, and I tell them if they hadn't a better right to it than they, she'd be where they are. That dumbfounds them. That does. All they can do is gosh their teeth, hell fashion, and I just laugh. And I go off singing the old chanty, Rum Tom Trample, hello? Who's that knocking at the door?
Come in. Come in.
Excuse me, gentle lords and ladies. Do not let me disturb you. Only a poor, harmless English rector, formerly chaplain to the cardinal, to my lord Winchester, John de Stollenberg, at your service. Did you say anything? I am a little deaf, unfortunately. Also, a little, well, not always in my right mind, perhaps, but still it is a small village with a few simple people. I suffice. They love me there, and I am able to do a little good. I am well connected, and so they indulge me.
Oh, good John, what brought thee to this estate?
I tell my folks they must be very careful. I say to them, if you only saw what you think about, you would think quite differently about it. It would give a great shock. Oh, a great shock. And they all say, yes, parson, we all know you are a kind man and would not harm a fly. That is a great comfort to me, for I am not cruel by nature, you know.
Who said you were?
Well, you see, I did a very cruel thing once because I did not know what cruelty was like. I had not seen it, you know, and that is the great thing. You must see it, and then you are redeemed and saved.
Were not the sufferings of our Lord Christ enough for you?
No, oh, no, not at all. I had seen them in the pictures and read them in the books and been greatly moved by them, as I thought, but it was no use. It was not our Lord that redeemed me, but a young woman whom I actually saw burnt to death. It was dreadful, oh, most dreadful, but it saved me. But I have been a different man ever since, though a little astray in my wits at some times.
Must then a Christ perish in torment in every age to save those that have no imagination?
Well, if I saved all those he would have been cruel to if he had not been cruel to me, I was not burnt for nothing, was I?
Oh, no, it was not you. My sight is bad. I cannot distinguish your features. You are not she. Oh, no, she was burned to a cinder, dead and gone.
She is more alive than you, old man. Her heart would not burn, and it would not drown. I was a master at my craft, better than the master of Paris, better than the master of Toulouse. But I could not kill the maid. She is up, alive, and everywhere.
Madam, my congratulations on your rehabilitation.
I feel that I owe you an apology.
Oh, please, don't mention it.
That burning was purely political. There was no personal feeling against you, I assure you.
I bear no malice, my lord.
Just so very kind of you to meet me in that way. A touch of true breeding. But I must insist on apologizing very amply. The truth is, these political necessities sometimes turn out to be political mistakes, and this one was a veritable howler, for your spirit conquered us, madam, in spite of our facts. History will remember me for your sake, though the incidents of the connection were perhaps a little unfortunate.
Aye, perhaps just a little, you funny man.
Still, when they make you a saint, you will owe your halo to me, just as this lucky monarch owes his crown to you.
I shall owe nothing to any man. I owe everything to the Spirit of God that was within me. But fancy me a saint. What would St. Catherine and St. Margaret say if the farm girl was cocked up beside them?
Why this mirth, gentlemen?
I congratulate you on having invented a most extraordinarily comic dress.
I do not understand. You are all in fancy dress. I am properly dressed.
All dress is fancy dress, is it not? Except our natural skins.
Pardon me. I am here on serious business and cannot engage in frivolous discussions. I am sent to announce to you that Joan of Arc, formerly known as the Maid, having been the subject of an inquiry instituted by the Bishop of Orleans.
Ah, they remember me still in Orleans.
By the Bishop of Orleans into the claim of the said Joan of Arc to be canonized as a saint.
But I never made such a claim.
The church has examined the claim exhaustively in the usual course, and having admitted the said Joan successfully to the ranks of venerable and blessed,
Me, venerable,
has finally declared her to have been endowed with heroic virtues and favored with private revelations, and calls the said venerable and blessed Joan to the communion of the church, triumphant as Saint Joan.
Saint Joan.
On every 13th day of May, being the anniversary of the death of the said most blessed daughter of God, there shall in every Catholic church to the end of time be celebrated a special office in commemoration of her, and it shall be lawful to dedicate a special chapel to her, and to place her image on its altar in every such church. And it shall be lawful and laudable for the faith to kneel and address their prayers through her to the mercy seat.
Oh no, it is for the saint to kneel.
In Basilica Vaticana, the 16th day of May, 1920.
Half an hour to burn you, dear saint, and 4 centuries to find out the truth about you.
Sir, I was chaplain to the Cardinal of Winchester once. They always would call him the Cardinal of England. It would be a great comfort to me and to my master to see a fair statue of the Maid in Winchester Cathedral. Will they put one there, do you think?
As the building is temporarily in the hands of the Anglican heresy, I cannot answer for that.
Oh, look, that is Winchester.
Was that meant to be me? I was stiffer on my feet.
I have been requested by the temporal authorities of France to mention that the multiplication of public statues to the Maid threatens to become an obstruction to traffic. I do so as a matter of courtesy to the said authorities, but must point out on behalf of the church that the Maid's horse is no greater obstruction to traffic than any other horse.
Oh, I am glad they have not forgotten my horse. Is that funny little thing me too?
That is Reims Cathedral, where he had me crowned. Must be you.
Who has broken my sword? My sword was never broken. It is the sword of France.
Never mind. Swords can be mended. Your soul is unbroken, and you are the soul of France.
My sword shall conquer yet. The sword that never struck a blow. Though men destroyed my body, yet in my soul I have seen God.
The girls in the field praise thee, for thou hast raised their eyes, and they see that there is nothing between them and heaven.
The dying soldiers praise thee, because thou art a shield of glory between them and the judgment.
The princes of the church praise thee, because thou hast redeemed their faith in the worldliness have dragged through the mire.
The cunning counselors praise thee, because thou hast cut the knots in which they have tied their own souls.
The foolish old men on their deathbeds praise thee, because their sins against thee are turned into blessings.
The judges in the blindness and bondage of the law praise thee, because thou hast vindicated the vision and the freedom of the living soul.
The wicked out of hell praise thee, because thou hast shown them that the fire is not quenched. That is not quenched is a holy fire.
The tormentors and executioners praise thee, because thou hast shown that their hands are guiltless of the death of the soul.
The unpretending praise thee, because thou hast taken upon thyself the heroic burdens that are too heavy for them.
Woe unto me when all men praise me. I bid you remember that I am a saint, and that saints can work miracles enough. Tell me, shall I rise from the dead and come back to you as a living woman? What? Must I burn again? Are none of you ready to receive me?
The heretic is always better dead, and mortal eyes cannot distinguish the saint from the heretic. Spare them.
Forgive us, Joan. We are not yet good enough for you. I shall go back to my bed.
We sincerely regret our little mistake, but political necessities, though occasionally erroneous, are still imperative. So if you will be good enough to excuse me.
Your return would not make me the man you once thought me. The utmost I could say is that though I dare not bless you, I hope I may one day enter into your blessedness. Meanwhile, however,
I, who am of the dead, testified that day that you were innocent. But I do not see how the Inquisition could possibly be dispensed with under existing circumstances. Therefore...
Oh, do not come back. You must not come back. I must die in peace. Give us peace in our time, oh Lord.
As a master in my profession, I have to consider its interest, and after all, my first duty is to my wife and children. I must have time to think over this.
Whew. Poor old Joan. They have all run away from you except this black god who has to go back to hell at 12 o'clock. What can I do but follow Jack Denoir, for example? Go back to bed too.
Good night, Charlie.
Good night.
And you, my faithful, my one faithful. What comfort have you for Saint Joan?
Well, what do they all amount to, these kings, captains, and bishops, and lawyers, and such like? They just leave you in the ditch to bleed to death, and the next thing is you meet them down there for all the airs they give themselves. What I say is, you have as good a right to your notions as they have to theirs, and perhaps better. You see, it's like this. If, excuse me, a pressing appointment.
Oh God, that made us this beautiful earth, when will it be ready to receive thy saints? How long, O Lord? How long?
And thus ends St. Joan. Stuart, can I bring everyone in for a curtain call? Is that possible?
I think that might be asking too much.
I'm going to do it anyway.
That's the spirit.
Our names are on the screen. That's good.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We're going to leave one last time with, after the applause dies down, I'm going to drop the link to Spotlighters in here. Thank you all for joining us. I know this kind of popped up out of absolutely nothing, and over the course of the week, this wonderful cast and these wonderful people that came together and figured out a way to make this happen. It's really, really, really touching at this point for it to have turned into this. And thank you for everyone who tuned in tonight. I know in this very, very difficult time, it was something to see everyone come together and do something at the same time, and to be together as a community. So thank you all for being here. We look forward to being with you next week. We're going to do the importance of being earnest next week. If you are interested in volunteering to help out, there is a lot of help that we need both on stage and off stage to make Pandemic Players happen as long as it needs to happen. Please do reach out to us and let us know if you're interested in lending a hand. We'd be very, very happy to have you as part of the community. And if you find yourself at home and in need of just some human contact on Wednesday evenings, we do a weekly mixer. Just feel free to come and be part of the group. It's good to really keep that human contact alive in the community over however long this takes. So thank you. Thank you. I see, Stuart, we have a request for the Penguins to come out and do the curtain call. So I don't know if you can make that happen. We'll throw the Penguins up if at all possible.
Steven, Stuart, great job. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, guys, really cool.
Thank you, guys.
It was worth waiting 5.5 hours for my little scene.
We loved your hat.
That was pretty good.
Definitely. Thank you for the opportunity. I had a blast.
Thank you, everybody.
That's a good one.
All right, we're going offline, folks. Have a good night.
Thanks, you too. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Love you guys.
You too.
Night, everyone.
Night.
Night.